18 year. Gates about to open. Venruki, who do you have coming out on top?
But like I said, 3-2-1, they are going to be struggling with that Restoration Shaman, so as long as Rubcub is doing a good job switching that Earth Shield, he's playing Relentless as well, so very, very key. All CC is going to be a little bit of a less cooldown on him, so keep an eye on that for sure. On the other hand, you know, they have Jamili and Seth Curry on that Windwalker Monk. That's going to be a lot of instant CC for, you know, Lightme's when they go on to Hansel or they go on to Zevs. We'll have to see how they decide to open up. Hansel pushing in. He's looking to get some crowd control over onto Rubcub, but Seth all over him at this point. Tiger's lusting out of that Nova, trying to get some damage out. Nice pounce over onto Seth Curry. Hansel pushing in, getting the full polymorph on Rubcub. Right now, 3-2-1. This is the setup that they want, very standard, but it looks like the rejects have sort of deflected it, not too much damage coming in.
I think one of the most important things that you have noted, oh my god, we got to pay attention to the damage that's coming in on Hansel. He manages to hold on to his ice block for now. A lot of that offensive pressure going to be on 3-2-1 as we see the low clone onto Hansel. He's going to sit in that the full duration. That was also when he was inside of his combustion. So not only do the rejects have a crazy amount of pressure as they continue to put that onslaught straight into Hansel, they also get to mitigate the damage that 3-2-1 really does want to do. So Jamili invested his Incarn for that. That was where quite a bit of the damage came from. Now Zev going to try to put it on its head, use an Incarn of his very own. 3-2-1 when they want to put the pressure out, as Elliot already noted before the gates even open, really need to be thinking about Rubcub's Earth Shield and play around it. Now Rubcub caught into the CC chain.
Yeah, into the full polymorph. Jamili now for the first time taking a bit of damage. Maim into Bash, getting lower and lower. Rubcub, no trinket available. Renewal comes out as well as the Spirit Link Totem. Nicely done by 3-2-1. 3-2-1 is going to be winning in those CC setups, just like Rich said. Jamili's still getting lower and lower, dashing away. Does not have Renewal, does not have anything. Rubcub, not too many cooldowns. Ascendant's going to be coming out. He should be able to stabilize his HP. His team's going to be able to survive, incapacitate over onto Lightme's. Hansel getting a little low, but in the response, he uses that Temporal Shield. Nicely done. That's going to deflect all this damage, topping him off.
That was a beautiful Temporal Shield, but instantly Hansel's just getting chunked once again. Now he may have to invest that Ice Block, but we can see it is going to be Lightme's trying to use a cooldown of his very own to get his teammate nice and healthy here in the first matchup of the day. Great pressure coming out from both sides. The thing is that setup from 3-2-1 did get quite a lot out of the way for the rejects. It is Hansel who still has his Ice Block, and it seems that Hansel is just the one to receive all the pressure that the rejects can pump out at the moment.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for 3-2-1. They went for that crowd control chain, but they just weren't able to find any damage. Now Hansel's down to 50% HP, caught into the full Cyclone. Lightme's trying to line of sight, but he doesn't have any sacks left. Luckily, one's coming up quite shortly. You can see for the 3-2-1, they still have some key defensives, still have that Ice Block as well as that Divine Shield, so they should be fine for now. The rejects in a good spot as well. You know, Jamili has Barkskin, Incarnations up. They're trying to counter pressure. Hansel getting lower and lower, trying to toss out those polymorphs, get some counter pressure of themselves. The full bash over onto Rubcub. Incapacitate on that polymorph. Nicely done by Seth Curry, denying that setup. And now a huge swap over onto Lightme's. Might be that bubble. Uses the freedom, trying to get to the pillar. Use that Divine Steed as well. Gets out of line of sight, but Seth Curry's all over him with the Blood Elf Silence. Incapacitated. If he has a stun out of this, Lightme's could be in a lot of trouble. Fist of Fury stun comes in, but Blessing of Protection is enough to save him.
Seth Curry all over him like glue, but just such a mobile class, able to get back over to Hansel to keep the pressure going. The second that you saw Jamili pop that Incarn, it was just so scary for 3-2-1. Damage coming out on Lightme's and Hansel. Hansel this time going to use that Temporal Shield again. He isn't playing Frost, so that one Ice Block is really his last line of defense. He's been able to hold on to it for the entire matchup, but with the pressure coming out from the rejects, it just keeps getting scarier for this team. Once again, 3-2-1 really needs to play around Rubcub if they want to find a win condition. Once again, he was going to be caught inside the CC. You can see a well-placed ring is going to fade. Rubcub going to get out of that one, going to have to trade out the totem here to keep his team healthy. But Hansel is the one to take the damage once again. Jamili not inside of Incarn. It's going to be Seth Curry. Investing cooldowns here. That's the Ice Block very low. A well-played Ice Block there. Hansel going to be safe for now. Hansel still needs to get healed up, though, by Lightme's.
Yeah, it's very important Hansel used that Ice Block before the Cauterize, so good defensive play from Hansel. Unfortunately for 3-2-1, they just can't really get anything going. Anytime there's CC on Rubcub, Jamili, bear form, running around the pillar, avoiding all damage from Hansel. Once again, you see it here, blinding light on Rubcub, but Hansel just cannot connect. Seth Curry is making this a nightmare. Finally, the full polymorph lands. Jamili's just going to be using that Barskin, sitting in the bear form. As long as he can survive until Rubcub's out of cooldowns, 3-2-1 cannot push through with the amount of damage they have. The Fire Mage doesn't provide that much damage. It's got good crowd control, but if Rubcub's able to heal, Jamili, well, I don't think is going to go down. Nice polymorph, Mindev maim under Rubcub. Jamili's still getting a little lower, but bear form is enough to survive.
Exactly. This is exactly what you were talking about, Elliot. Jamili goes into the bear form, weathers the storm, pops skin, goes into Incarn, looking to just take Hansel down. Jamili is just able to handle this pressure so well with bear form. He traded out skin there, peels for himself with Cyclone, and the second he comes out, he is just a shark, an absolute threat. Hansel is going to be able to make it through this one as we enter dampening. Still, though, Jamili inside of that Incarn getting a lot of damage out here. Hansel investing that temporal shield should be fine, but he is going to get kicked there. That shear isn't going to do too much, but to stop the pressure onto Seth Curry for just a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like they've changed their target. Seth Curry taking a little bit of damage, Fortifying Brood denies it. Counterspell into Polymorph under Rubcub. Hansel getting bursted though in the meantime. Lightmeez is not doing well on mana. He's almost completely tapped at this point. Dampening has just kicked in. Hansel still, that Blessing of Protection's enough. Dragon's Breath comes in as well. Jamili getting lower and lower. These are the CC chains. It can be deadly. If they can land a CC chain that's long enough, Rubcub does not have a trinket. Now a Hodge on Rubcub as they swap over onto him. Combustion paying dividends for Hansel, getting a lot of pressure out on both Jamili and Rubcub, but this is Ascendance. Ascendance is enough to spread out his healing, top off his team, and now the rejects are completely fine.
One of the other things to note, though, also takes that Astral Shift. That's going to make Rubcub a little bit squishier. Maybe now 3-2-1 can get that swap going once they see where that Earth Shield does go out. So this is a big play coming out of 3-2-1, but they need to stay alive to make that happen. Seth Curry still a huge threat here. We're going to see he just moves right back in, gets onto Hansel. Hansel puts down that Ring of Frost into the in-cap. Going to be Hansel here. Lightmeez knows that this could be dangerous. He needs to keep his team nice and healthy. Hansel taking quite a bit of damage. Can't even get out that polymorph. The shear is going to make sure to stop that. Another Ring of Frost now is down. Rubcub gets behind the pillar, stuck into a bash. Jamili now going to be CC'd as well. This could be the setup coming out from 3-2-1.
Yeah, it absolutely could, but Jamili still has a renewal. He still has the bark skin, so I think he's going to be safe. Lightmeez now tapped on mana, and as a team, like 3-2-1 cannot be playing defensive right now, but they really don't have much of a choice. Lightmeez is tapped completely. They need to do some sort of all-in setup. Once again, turning some pressure over onto Seth, Fortifying Brew, enough damage reduction to be completely fine. Still, as well, has that touch of Karma, so it's not looking good for 3-2-1 in this situation. Hansel is doing a nice job with that temporal shield to keep himself alive a little bit longer, but 3-2-1 really doesn't have too many immunities left. The only thing Lightmeez has is that the Blessing of Sacrifice.
Yeah, and I think Hansel still is sitting on Cauterize. Hansel getting very low here. You can see he is silenced. That's going to slow him down for just a little bit. Jamili in the Incarn, once again, this is scary for 3-2-1. You can see them trying to spread pressure out a little bit. Lightmeez, though, getting absolutely chunked. This could be the first map of the day. Lightmeez going to use Tears Deliverance. It looks like he faked that just a little bit. Jamili now still inside of Incarn, going to be able to swap over. One player from 3-2-1 looking to fall. Incapped very low is Lightmeez. Hansel dangerously low as well. The rejects just looking for anyone to take them down and take the first game of the day here on Not Grand Arena.
Yeah, Hansel coming back. Those polymorphs on Seth definitely kept his team alive, so nicely done. But right now the rejects have so much pressure. Hansel uses combustion at a bit of an odd time there, just trying to generate some pressure whatsoever. But that's a full polymorph from Rubcub. Jamili goes down. Incarnation's enough. 3-2-1 barely survives. Both Hansel and Lightmeez were 5% HP. Those polymorphs coming in from Hansel and that one last dire CC chain. I can't believe it.
Same compositions, 3-2-1, leading. They have that blind pick in their favor as they queue up against the rejects yet again. And right out of the gates here, who is going to be the team to get the pressure rolling first?
Yeah, it's difficult. The rejects has to find a fine balance. Seth Curry needs to be interrupting Hansel. If he doesn't interrupt Hansel, Hansel's going to go crazy with polymorphs and damage. So throwing out those incapacitates on Hansel and those stuns, very, very important. But at the same time, I feel like Lightmeez is actually an exceptionally good target for the rejects. If they can find the damage, get him in a full stun, it's much easier to kill that Holy Pally than work through all of those Blessing of Sacrifices that he offers for the Hansel.
Now it looks like the setup might be coming out for 3-2-1. Rubcub getting caught in that CC chain for just a little bit. Hansel going to try to get offensive here, not going all in. Zev hasn't used the Incarnation, but he's caught in that clone. Hansel, though, takes a bunch of damage here, and you can see Lightmeez gets that root beam that's going to make it so hard to heal up his team. Hansel It's lower and lower. Has to get out that polymorph to slow down the damage. Jamili's Incarn paying dividends.
Yeah, Hansel doing a good job with that Dragon's Breath. When you have the rejects all on the pillar, all grouped up, he can get those triple Dragon's Breath to keep his team defensive and also offensive. So well done. Hansel down to 50% HP, but 3-2-1, they want to go aggro. Full polymorph over onto Rubcub. Gets out of that polymorph, drops the Earthen Shield Totem, making Jamili exceptionally tanky with that Bark Skin. So Jamili's HP isn't going to move too much. I think the kill has been lost for 3-2-1. They're going to go for some sort of reset. You can see Hansel pulling back, now caught into the full Fist of Fury stun. Seth Curry, if he has any crowd control for Lightmeez, might be able to land something here. We can see Hansel getting lower and lower, but Lightmeez just playing far away from Seth.
Yeah, and Seth Curry just doing a phenomenal job. It doesn't matter how far you play away from him. You saw it right there. Just able to port around, able to get back onto his target so easily. Such a mobile class. Hansel using that temporal shield. You can see it does go off in time, but Lightmeez had to do quite a lot as well. It wasn't just that ability that was able to keep Hansel alive. Now Lightmeez, look, you said that he could be a good target. Seth Curry able to switch onto him without a problem. Gonna move right around this pillar, get Lightmeez caught up inside that incap. Seth Curry is going to be put inside the sheet. Now it's Hansel stuck inside the beam for just a little bit here. Some pressure coming out to Jamili, but he's not in form yet. He's going to decide to put out these Cyclones to try to peel for himself.
Yeah, some nice play coming in from Lightmeez. You can see him actually pre-freedoming, but right now Jamili's in trouble. The Bark Skin is up. Polymorph on a Rubcub. It doesn't look like there's any follow-up CC whatsoever. Jamili gets locked out on that Cyclone, back into bear form. Uses the Renewal as well. So Renewal and Bark Skin tossed out by Jamili. I was going to say Lightmeez doing a good job in this matchup. He realizes he can get root beamed at any point by Jamili on that Moonkin, so he pre-freedoms himself anytime he pushes in for those heals. So it's a good job by him to stop that crowd control. Hansel getting bursted down a little bit, incapacitate over onto Lightmeez. Hansel charges in though, gets the full polymorph, maybe overextending at this point, but he should be safe. Lightmeez still has that Blessing of Sacrifice as well as that Blessing of Protection, so 3-2-1 looking good.
Jamili also does have his Incarn, so we could see the rejects getting very, very aggressive any moment. It is going to be 3-2-1 right now, who's trying to do the same thing, putting a bunch of damage into Jamili, but this is just typical of what we see from him. He's able to get out good Cyclones, he's able to go into bear form. That skin already almost off of cooldown at this point. Seth Curry going to be dealt with for a little bit with some nice CC to try to keep Hansel nice and healthy. And the crazy thing about this match, as we see Jamili going into Incarn, is just how back and forth it really can go. Both of these teams looking for explosive setups. Now behind the pillar is Lightmeez all alone. Seth Curry doing so much damage to this Paladin. Now Lightmeez still behind that pillar. Seth Curry instantly to get all the way across the map, putting damage into Hansel, and Jamili is inside of Incarn.
Yeah, there was actually, you could hear me maybe gasp. The rejects had a nice swap over on the Lightmeez, but Hansel immediately polymorphed Seth, so he could not get the Fist of Fury, and Lightmeez was able to escape. Now some burst over on a Hansel. Incarnation has faded for Jamili. They really didn't get too much going in terms of offense, so 3-2-1 keeping the rejects on the back foot right now. Maim over onto Rubcub. Hansel looking for the polymorph, does land it, but Jamili once again in bear form, just line of sighting. Bear form is going to provide him a lot of armor, which of course is going to reduce the physical damage that Feral Druid is going to do. And if Hansel can't connect with the fireballs and the pyroblast, Jamili is going to be very tanky.
There is just not a single moment inside of this matchup where any of these teams can take a breath, where any of them can feel comfortable, because both of these teams just will explode at the drop of a pin, and Hansel going to be the target in this round of crazy damage. He still does have his ice block though. Seth Curry just going to be the dealer of death at the moment. Once again, needs to be put inside of that polymorph to be taken out of the equation for just a second here. Now Rubcub going to be caught in the CC. This is where they want to get aggressive onto Jamili. He knows that. He instantly gets that skin out. He's going to be back inside of bear form now, but he's still getting very low. Rubcub still out of the equation. Back into another re-polymorph. Jamili is going to be able to weather this storm. Zev still inside of an Incarn of his very own. Wants to stay aggressive. Jamili does get silenced though, and that's going to pull the Ascendance from Rubcub.
Yeah, I do not envy Jamili in this matchup. He's doing a good job defensively. Hansel having to use that temporal shield. Can they burst through it? Doesn't look like they have it. Anytime Jamili tries to do anything, Rubcub's just in crowd control. He has to go back into bear form. He has to line of sight. He can't get the damage out that his team needs. But right now, Hansel is getting lower and lower. Lightmeez still has a lot of defensives. Hansel still has that ice block and cauterize, so he's in really no danger of dying at this point. Whereas the rejects, like we saw last game, they could die at any point. Hodge into full polymorph onto Rubcub, or the main into full polymorph. Hodge over over onto Jamili right now, but still Jamili in bear form actually gets the full root beam onto Lightme's, leg sweep onto Lightme's as well. The reject's trying to find some damage onto this Holy Paladin as he did push in for that Hodge. Could be a big mistake from Lightme's, but looks like he's able to line of sight. Polymorph spam coming in from Hansel, once again controlling up Seth, and that's such a key part of this matchup. Hansel landing those polymorphs, you can see him throwing out a Ring of Frost as well, making it a nightmare for Seth Curry to really do anything to Lightme's.
Well, that was terrifying though. Root beam into the Incarn from Jamili. This really does show how good the offensive pressure is as a defensive line for 3-2-1 as well. If we looked at a statistic of how much time Jamili is spending in bear form, it would actually be pretty nutty. I would love to see how much time he's actually sitting in bear form. But the second he goes out, he gets a little bit of wiggle room. He's going to turn that into a mile. You see Jamili getting out of bear form. He pops the Incarn, and he's also able to make plays with the CC that he does have. And that's why Lightme's looked so squishy for a second there, but he's able to use a defensive cooldown of his very own to get healthy, but it was still not a comfortable position to be in. Rubcub has a little bit to work with now, though. He still does have his totem. He could get that out if he needs to. But at the moment, it looks like the storm, we're right in the calm before the storm.
Yeah, look at Hansel. He is literally across the map from Rubcub and Jamili. He's just trying to control Seth Curry. They're trying to buy some time, but this is Touch of Death into leg sweep. Blessing and Protection, huge value on that Blessing and Protection on the Touch of Death as well as the leg sweep. So well done by Lightme's, and now 3-2-1 wants to get aggressive. Triple blind onto Rubcub. Combustion has been popped by Hansel, but he just can't connect to Jamili. You can see him in bear form, line of sighting Hansel. Hansel can't get any damage out. Full Fist Severe on Hansel. Jamili looking to get aggressive right now. Rubcub throws that Earth Shield onto Jamili, does get reset. Zevs gets the interrupt onto that full Cyclone, but full Moon connects. Unfortunately, not doing much damage to Hansel as he does blink, but taking a whole bunch of burst right now. That is going to be the Cauterize. He uses the Temporal Shield, so nicely done, not overlapping those defensive. That was Blessing of Sacrifice as well coming in from Lightme's, but that's a full Polymorph onto Rubcub. Seth Curry just trying to run away right now, using his Port, using his Fortifying Brew. He does not want to have to use that Touch of Karma. But he does.
Seth, though, ultimately does have to use it, and really nice Dragon's Breath going to come out here. Jamili starting to get low. They switch right back over to him. He's going to have to get right back into his bear form to stay safe. Zev popping on over to Seth Curry. They're switching targets constantly. Jamili can get aggressive here to try to get a little bit of that pressure reduced onto his team. Now it's going to be Zev who has to pop his survival instincts to stay alive. He has his Incarn, though, to get aggressive as soon as this push is done, but he may fall over before. Zev getting very low has to go into bear form. Hansel's still stuck inside of this Cyclone. Lightning's popping every single button he has, but that Incap gonna slow down the healing that can come out, and Zev doesn't have anything left except for offensive cooldown, so he's gonna have to use his Incarn.
Yeah, but Seth could be in a lot of trouble. Incarnation has been used. If they can get any CC on the Rubcub, Seth could actually die, which is something you don't normally see, but Zev's just too low. Lightning's trying to keep him alive, uses the Avenging Wrath, full bash over onto Rubcub. Nice Cyclone coming in from Jamili. That was key. Zevs cannot get out of that, and they cannot find the damage to take Seth down. If Zevs was not in crowd control, that could have been a kill, so very well played by Jamili. Spirit Link Totem comes in, seals the deal defensively. Now Zevs is in a lot of trouble. Lightme's really doesn't have anything left defensively besides his bubble, so he's going to be able to toss out some heals, but it's not really going to be enough at this point in the game. That's an Incapacitate. Hansel getting lower and lower as well. He does not have Cauterize. He does not have Ice Block. Ring of Frost comes in. Nice CC from Hansel once again, but you cannot count 3-2-1 out. They have these long CC chains, but this is not looking good for them.
The main thing is do or die for them as Hansel gets very low. This is going to be a cooldown from Lightme's, but Zev and Hansel have nothing left. They are running on fumes. They have no defensive cooldowns. They need to get a big push here if they want to take the Rejects down. Our 3-2-1 will crumble under the pressure. Rejects trying to tie up this series. Now the pressure onto Hansel. He pre-temporal shielded. It goes off just in the nick of time. Now he's sheared, but Zev or Hansel, all viable kill target. Even Lightme's right now is looking like he's in danger as he gets caught inside the Incap. Seth Curry getting that leg sweep onto Hansel and taking him down. The Rejects back in this series, tie it up. Beautiful play coming out of the Rejects there. But I mean, this is just for BFA, but hey, now let's put our focus on this tournament. Rejects versus 3-2-1. Someone trying to tip the scale and take the lead in game number 3. Right out of the gates, you can already see how long of a walk Seth Curry needs to go on, a jog, if you will.
Yeah, this is an interesting map because we saw in the last map, anytime that Rubcub got CC'd, Jamili was just running around the pillar. Now, Tolveron, although a large map, it also has the largest pillars. So, you know, in my head, I feel like this favors Jamili in a way where he can just use the pillar to line of sight, get away from Rubcup, make it difficult for Hansel to actually get damage out. And this is what you see. Jamili, he trinkets out. He is across the pillar from Hansel. Hansel not able to get really any damage out. Hodge still on a Rubcup, though. Jamili not out of the woods yet. Barskin onto him. Seth Curry trying to counter pressure with a little damage over on Hansel. Hansel does use that combustion as well, so committing some offense. This is Incarnation as well. So Incarnation as well as Combust, committed by 3-2-1, and really the rejects, they pretty much still have everything except Barkskin.
Zev actually going to be the one who's getting scary low here, and that's what I wanted to note. That's the most aggressive opener that we've seen, as Hansel now going to get chunked down 3-2-1 with the most aggressive opener that we'd ever seen, but it's the rejects who actually get the most that we've seen at the start of the match. They get the ice block from Hansel, and to go back to one of the first things that you said in this matchup, as we still see the rejects just piling on 3-2-1, Jamili's best teammate inside of the last few games has been the pillar. It's been his duo, and he's still going to have it here, even to a higher degree. It's basically like the pillar's leveled up for him. Hansel, though, gets just obliterated in this opener, and we have never seen 3-2-1 get as aggressive. Usually that aggression slows down the rejects. It kind of seems like they went back to the drawing board. Maybe they watched that expert analysis from Zico, and they have somewhat found 3-2-1's number here in game number 3.
Yeah, Hansel trying to land that polymorph, just can't find it. The distance is too far. Rubcup did get maimed, but one blink isn't enough to get Hansel in line of sight. With Rubcup having that Relentless, all those stuns are going to be shorter, giving less time for Hansel to actually get that follow-up crowd control. So this map kind of backfiring right now. I feel like 4-3-2-1. Hansel getting lower and lower once again. Blessing of Protection was thrown out by Lightning, so that's enough to slow down some of this damage coming in from Seth Curry. You know, bash over on Rubcup, main onto Seth, and now Jamili could be in trouble once again, but a pre-Earthern Shield Totem was dropped by Rubcup, so nicely done on that Restoration Shaman. Jamili still camping in bear form right on top of Rubcup. And one thing to note about Jamili's positioning is if he can't get behind the pillar, the best thing he can do is just stand on top of Rubcup. Fire Mage does have a lot of cleave damage with that Phoenix Flames, so denying Hansel that damage is very important. Jamili knows that. He is a mage player.
Jamili's just been lights out in every single game, in my opinion. Even with just, he's been in terrible positions. He's had to do exactly this, just hang out in bear form. But now he's probably just happy about it. You know, you get to just chill as a bear, run around a pillar. I don't think there's a better way to spend a Saturday. He's going to be doing just that. He gets out a little bit. He's trying to just break LOS here because the pressure is pretty scary at this moment. But once again, we find Hansel in a position and Zev in a position where they don't have too much aggressive pressure with cooldowns. They're still trying to get out big damage here. They swap onto Seth Curry for a little bit, get the damage there. Now he's stuck inside of the sheet, but he's still right on Hansel. Gonna try to get some pressure out onto him now, Venruki.
Yeah, Lightning is caught in that incapacitates, down on Hansel once again. He trinkets out, use that human ratio. Temporal Shield was used. Incarnation almost coming back up for Zev's. This is Jamili's Incarnation, so Rejects looking to get aggressive, but not really accomplishing too much there. Hansel getting bursted down, huge right as I say that. Zev's as well. Not sure, he has some sort of defensive up right now. I think Blessing of Protection was used on him to get him out some of those physical stuns, keeping his team aggressive. Polymorph onto Seth Curry. 3-2-1 trying to get a setup going, but this Tolveron map just not working out for them.
It was well played by the Rejects too there. They have a little bit of a chance to get some damage onto Zev, so they actually slow down Hansel. And this is something that Zico pointed out. The Rejects, instead of looking for those solar beams onto Lightnings, are putting them onto Hansel a lot. Not only is that going to stop a lot of damage, it stops the ability to get sheeps out as well. Now Hansel taking quite a bit of damage, gets a nice temporal shield though. You can see that go off without a problem, get him out of danger for just a little bit longer. But Seth Curry sticking on to him, not having a problem. Those blinks not going to be enough to keep Hansel safe here, not at all. Jamili going to be just a turret right now, getting those rats out. Hansel now trying to get a polymorph.
Yeah, all of these games have looked good for the Rejects. Honestly, in game number 1, 3-2-1, I feel like they had a fortunate setup. I don't want to say they got lucky, but they had a very nice setup at a very key time, and that's how 3-2-1 is going to win this matchup. Hansel uses that combustion. Jamili looking to just line of sight all of this damage. Barskin has been committed as well, but still, Hansel can't get any follow-up with that combustion, essentially wasting it. I mean, you got to use it eventually, but Jamili just making it such a nightmare for 3-2-1 to actually get up the setup damage. Now, finally, 3-2-1 turning their attention over on the Seth Curry. This is something something I want to see a little bit early on. I mean, they have the Ice Block, they have the Blessing of Protection to remove that Touch of Karma if they really need to. Seth already having to commit that, so no more Touch of Karma available. Hansel trying to run away once again, but if they can get those long CC chains on Rubcub, catch Seth Curry in a stun, they can definitely take him down if Earth Shield is on Jamili. But 3-2-1 still looking to get aggressive. Rubcub into the Polymorph, Jamili, Bear Form, line of sight, something we've seen throughout this entire matchup. Hansel trying to get some of that follow-up damage, but Rubcub keeping him alive.
It's like a Druid Order Hall behind that pillar as you see Zev just getting a lot of damage into Jamili, but the second Jamili gets out, he's going to pop that Incarn, and that's going to turn into another Ice Block from Hansel. He does have the Temporal Shield as well, but when you're already that low, it's not going to do too much. Definitely need to invest the Ice Block there. We are 4% through dampening. I just want to say 3-2-1 has been playing it very well, but the composition from the rejects, it is just so strong with the way that they are playing. Hansel still going to be low here. Lightme's going to have a little bit of a trek to heal him back up. Now Zev gets turned on.
Yeah, the Rejects has really good pressure right now. Another thing about this map is Lightme's, you know, in the past he was able to charge in, get those Hodges, get those blinds. On this map, it's really televised. Anytime the 3-2-1 wants to get aggressive, you know, because Lightme's is, you know, divine steeding across the entire map, giving Jamili plenty of time to get into bear form and, you know, line of sight. Rubcub now into a polymorph. Jamili trying to survive a little bit longer, but a full stun over onto Zeb. Seth trying to put some pressure on him. That Blessing of Protection is going to be used onto Seth. So slowly the Rejects getting these Holy Pally defensive cooldowns. Lightme's, you know, not doing so well on mana, down to around 20%. Rubcub very conservative, up to around 70. So as dampening gets higher and higher, it's going to be obviously favor the Rejects. Hansel with a nicely timed Temporal Shield, also using that Trinket, trying to spam out some polymorphs to slow down Seth Curry's damage just a little bit in this matchup. But Jamili, you know, still in a little bit of trouble right now, trying to run away with that full polymorph on a Rubcub, not using the Bark Skin, potentially a little bit too late. That's still a bash on a Rubcub. Spirit Link Totem's going to be dropped. Jamili a little bit greedy there, but ultimately does get the cooldown off and does survive.
That greed turns into an overlap for a second there. You see the SL come out, the skin come out, and the renewal all have to come out from Jamili. So that is quite a lot that 3-2-1 actually does get with the beautiful setup that they have. But Hansel just looks like he could topple. Still in the in-cap is Lightme's. Hansel holding on by a thread there. Gets silenced when he's trying to get out the polymorph. They don't have any follow-up CC for Lightme's though, so it looks like Hansel should stay up for a little bit longer here. But Jamili once again does have the Incarn. We see inside the Ring of Frost two members of the Rejects, but offensive pressure could be coming out from the Rejects at any moment. I want to touch upon this. You say that the Rejects are very, very favored inside of dampening. Look at Lightme's right now. Not only is he running out of cooldowns, he's also starting to go We're at 16% dampening at the current moment. Starting to look scary for 3-2-1. It's pretty much do or die time. A pre-temporal shield comes to Hansel, but Zev's the target, and he just gets shot down without a problem from the Rejects. That was also the Incarn from Jamili that helped do that. Got a note there. I just think one of the most important things that you touched upon, the setup potential from 3-2-1 is much.
They could definitely blow Rubcub out of the water. So these are some options for 3-2-1, but their backs are against the wall going into this matchup.
And that is exactly the position where sometimes you do have to switch it up, because as you've noted, the Rejects, if they take down Tiger's Peak, they take the entire series and will fight on. 3-2-1 would go home, be out of the tournament. Now we're just waiting a few seconds here before they are opening up. See Hansel trying to get that early polymorph out. He's going to do just that onto Rubcub. Getting aggressive here with his combustion. And this time, look, the initial pressure does go onto Seth Curry. Rubcub going to be caught into a stun. Hansel, though, still caught into the leg sweep. This is just going to cut down the amount of time that he does have inside of that combust.
That was an insane blind coming in from Lightme's. As soon as Seth Curry got out his images, got out that leg sweep, he blinded him up as well. So the good value. Hansel has the Temporal Shield up. Is he going to be able to not use his Ice Block? Doesn't look like it. Cauterized Ice Block as well as Temporal Shield used and a Trinket. That is huge value for the Rejects very early on. Incapacitate into Cyclone onto Lightme's. Hansel still getting lower. Can the Rejects get a sacrifice here? Potentially. Dragon's Breath into Polymorph over onto Seth. Doesn't look like it's going to be interrupted right now. The Rejects looking to get aggressive, but a full Polymorph onto Rubcub. Now Jamili could be in a little bit of trouble. Gets locked out there. Full Moon being cast onto Hansel, though. He's caught into the full stun. Does connect. Not too much damage, though. Lightme's, he has his wings up. It's going to be empowering his heal, and that's going to be enough to keep Hansel alive.
I don't think we've ever seen 3-2-1 in a worse position. Right now, if they lose this game, they go home, and everything ripped away from Hansel. He gets another Temporal Shield off at this moment. A Root Beam goes out, this time onto Lightme's. Lightme's is able to get out of that beam. but still just so scary. Hansel looking like he's primed to be taken down.
A Hammer of Justice used by Lightmeans. It was actually triple DR, and when you triple DR Hodge into a Shaman with Relentless, that's not going to be doing anything. Hansel not having any time to sort of get follow-up crowd control, so a little bit of sloppy play coming in from 3-2-1 as their backs are against the wall. Double Dragon's Breath coming in from Hansel, nicely done. Polymorph onto Rubcub. Now, finally, 3-2-1 has an opportunity to get some pressure over onto Jamili, who does get locked out. Meteor connects as well. Jamili trying to escape. If they have any follow-up on Rubcub, potentially a blind. There's the blind, a DR'd, unfortunately, from that Dragon's Breath. Nice Blood Elf Silence coming in. Jamili, able to survive with that Earthen Shield Totem, but Rubcub still caught into the main. Needs to get those heals out. Still has a Spirit Link Totem, so should be fine, but Jamili, not a single defensive cooldown left besides that Trinket, which is going to be super valuable as it does allow him to get into bear form if he does have to Trinket a stun.
With plays, this is already looking like a team in the first NA Cup that has what it takes. They have that mental fortitude to really go for big plays, but still, they are not out of this one yet. The Rejects looking to close out the series as Jamili pops his Incarn, gets some big damage onto Hansel. Lightme's not going to be able to get too many heals out here, but before he is put into that CC, he's able to save Hansel. Defensive cooldown.
Yeah, Seth Curry throwing that Fist of Fury and leg sweep over on the Lightme's. Lightme's actually trinketing out, now caught into the full root beam. Hansel in a lot of trouble. He needs to survive just a little longer for that temporal shield. It will do a lot of healing. Nice peels coming in from Zevs. Hansel getting topped off. Nicely done. If Zevs did not come back and bash Seth Curry there, Hansel would have surely gone down. He goes down anyways with some nice follow-up CC from Jamili. The Rejects taking this series 3-1.
I just got to give it up to 3-2-1, though. Although they are no longer in this tournament, a moment like that is just, it's not an easy thing to overcome.
Cane Mage and that Restoration Druid, and then Bubble Block. Colo, on the Priest, he's playing Discipline Priest. Then you have Bean on the Protection Paladin, and Kaldurk on that Feral Druid. So Bean on the Protection Paladin is going to offer a lot of defense for his team. Also, if he is playing the Taunt talent, puts a debuff up on the enemy, and if all three members attack into that debuff, it increases damage taken by that target by 15%. Sounds complicated, but essentially Kaldurk's going to be doing a lot more damage because of Bean. Sap over on Colo, cheap shot onto Bean. Okay, looking to get aggressive very early on.
Yeah, okay, trying to get that triple CC setup that you see quite a bit, and you really come to expect out of Rogue Mage. It's going to be their Rogue who gets aggressive first, popping that Vendetta, going to use his artifact ability as well, and you can see Bean takes quite a bit of damage, but they're able to get some pressure onto Kaldurk as well. Cyril has not yet used his arcane power, and already Kaldurk getting very low, but it's going to be Colo who puts out a lot of his own abilities in this first go. Now he's caught into the sheep, and Cyril going to pop a lot of damage.
I know Colo's team, Bubble Block, the things that they hate fighting against the most are Arcane Mages and Restoration Druids, and I think Assassination Rogues are quite good against this comp as well. So I think if OK can just survive, sort of weather the storm, this Incarnation coming in from Kaldurk, which is a huge win condition for Bubble Block, that major offensive Feral cooldown. You can see now OK landing the full Polymorph onto Colo, full clone onto Bean. Nice triple CC. Kaldurk now into the kidney shot. He's in bear form, trying to avoid some of this damage. Nice kick going out onto Flop, so denying that Cyclone. Full Hodge over onto Flop as well. Now looks like Bubble Block looking to get aggressive. They have those long CC change with that Protection Paladin, with that Hammer of Justice, and that silence he provides with that shield throw.
Yeah, OK, though, starting to be able to play their game a little bit more, starting to get the CC all across the board, really locking up Bubble Block. Bubble Block looking to disrupt that. And you already noted, Elliot, that, OK does have a strong comp against the particular comp that we don't see very often that Bubble Block did bring. Once again, good CC chain. Colo going to be cut inside of that sheep. Kidney goes on over to Kaldurk. Kaldurk has already used one of his survival instincts at this point, or actually it's completely on cooldown, I'm sorry. So that is quite a bit of damage that can go out to him, but it is going to be Grayson who gets caught into the stun while he's still into the Vendetta.
Yeah, not super effective to train down a Rogue though, as he is going to be able to spam out that feint if he needs to, denying a lot of incoming damage. Flop now into the Hodge, a little bit of pressure put onto him. Full sheep though onto Colo. Now OK is trying to turn it around with a full kidney shot over onto Bean, but really not too much damage is found. Bean on the Protection Paladin is going to offer his team a lot of defense as well as heals. Full bash onto Colo. Cyril with that arcane power, putting a little pressure, but I don't expect too much to happen in this matchup until dampening.
I think that's the big thing. When you look at Bubble Block, you're expecting a dampening game. Rogue Mage always does have that capability to find a really clean setup like this, and if they're not just going for cooldowns, maybe find a win condition. You're going to see that onto Bean right now. He's taking a lot of damage, obviously a very tanky target being a tank. Colo, though, caught into a sheep right after that. He's still just stuck in the CC chain. But, oh, beautiful Cyclone going to follow that up. This is all during that PS that's on to Bean, but the damage, you can see, still quite high. Cyril going to stay aggressive here using an early temporal shield. Has quite a lot of defensive capability inside of this matchup, and he can get away from Bean and Calder without a problem. Just so many blinks.
Yeah, that was actually a sick play by Grayson, you know, using his Vanish to get that DR cheap shot on Colo, giving Flop enough time to land that full Cyclone that was enough to grab that pain suppression. Full blind on Colo, he has no trinket. Bean getting lower and lower. Finally, that assassination vendetta putting a lot of pressure over onto him, but still, Bubble has not been forced. Colo gets locked out. Now he's just spamming out the Shadowman, gets locked out once again. Nicely done by OK. Bean having to play ultra defensive, and that is going to be that Divine Protection, that major defensive cooldown. Well done by OK.
Beautifully done by OK. You know, if Bean wasn't on if he wasn't on a Protection Paladin, most classes die there in that scenario. They just get Colo out of the picture. Beautiful CC across the board. You can see just how scary Blind really is going to be when you're timing your CC that well. Bean, though, does have some defensive capabilities of his very own, but he already did invest them now, so Bean looking like more of a target, but Cyril getting set up on. Gonna get
disaster! Disaster for OK. This was looking so good for them. Cyril, he had the temporal shield up. He almost ticked on him. It would have topped him off, but he should have just used the ice block. I mean, hindsight is easy, but they threw away that game completely.
You know, the thing is that temporal, I am doing everything in my power not to laugh right now, but seriously, do you think that, okay, that is something that will weigh on them as they go into the second game?
I mean, it's possible, but hopefully not. You know, players of this caliber making a little mistake like that, you know, losing a game. I think, like Zico was saying, if they just play it safe, I feel like they almost default win this match. If they just do damage, they can run Colo. Bean really shouldn't be able to attack Cyril very much. You know, he's an arcane mage, has a lot of mobility, but once again, OK pushing in. Looks like they want to have an aggressive opener. And look, once again, Cyril's just on top of Bean. Calder's going to be able to do some damage to him, but he blinks back to a safe location. So I like this play.
So I really did give it up in our first matchup of the day for 3-2-1, having what it takes to be a tournament team. OK now has to show that to me. I think that's really what I want to see from them in this matchup. I want to see them prove that they really do have what it takes to take a bad loss and come out on top, and we'll have to see if they can take down Bubble Block. They're going to get that first setup going. There's the sheep onto Colo as well. We'll have to see how many cooldowns they really can take at the moment. Bean just offering so much utility to this Bubble Block team. It's going to be Flop that now is caught inside the CC, but he gets a nice skin out there. Doesn't have to worry about that, using that artifact ability as well, and that Gahanir is going to keep his team nice and comfortable. Grayson, though, now outside of his big pressure windows. He's going to get another kidney onto Bean, but there really isn't, we don't expect follow-up there, but Cyril does have arcane power when they want to get aggressive.
Yeah, so this is the scary moment for OK. When Kaldurk has that Incarnation. When Incarnation is down, they can play aggressive, but when Kaldurk, you know, he has that available, he can pull the trigger at any time. It is definitely scary for OK. Once again, Bean at the pillar with Colo, Kaldar pushing back as well. They're just looking to delay the game, force, you know, OK to overextend and get in this position where they can actually easily get out damage and sort of, you know, nullify the fact that Cyril has so much mobility on that Arcane Mage, but Grayson's not playing this game anymore. He's decided, forget it, I'm going for a re-stealth. I'm not charging in. You guys can have fun hitting my Arcane Mage, and Flop's just going to go for an early drink. Yeah,
and he's going to get quite a bit out of that. You can already see his mana looking very comfortable at this point. Needs to get back into the fight now. He's going to be doing just that. But as you mentioned, Kaldurk, when he has the Incarn, is very scary, and that is one of the things about this composition that is just, it's like pouring gasoline all over it. Bean going to be that gasoline. Kaldurk is the match. Bean's going to add a little bit extra. Extra kick to it, and you can see Cyril taking quite a bit of damage. This is the moment that you're scared of if you're OK. Kaldurk goes inside of that Incarn. OK answers, though, with a little bit of pressure of their own. They get that onto Kaldurk, but Grayson looking very scared at this moment. We see that kidney go on to Kaldurk. Grayson uses his offensive cooldowns. Kaldurk still inside of his.
And you can see Kaldurk just carrying the offense. Gets the Iron Bark, gets the Bark Skin, gets the Evasion, and for the first time in this game, Bubble Block gets some momentum in their favor, but now that's faded. OK should be completely fine. Don't overextend, you know, build up the arcane missiles, get out some solid burst, maybe land a, you know, some sort of crowd control onto Colo, just lock him out. As you can see, that happens right there, but Cyril's completely at this point, so might want to retreat, land an evocation. Not going to be able to get too much done when his mana bar is that low, but he decides to pop that arcane power, and now the spread pressure coming in from OK. Everyone's garroted up. Big garrotes on everyone. Nicely done by Grayson, using that advantage to get out some additional damage. Everyone's rotting down. Full Cyclone onto Colo. He does trinket out. I don't believe he has any trinkets left, but Bean able to self-sustain a little bit in this matchup. Nice hodge over onto Flop. Silence onto Cyril. Bubble block. They're able to recover quite easily with that Archangel, with Bean helping on that Protection Paladin. And OK, although they had a nice sort of go, really not accomplishing too much.
Crazy damage goes out from Cyril with that go, but Bubble Block when we get to this point, they're not even going to feel it later on in the match. So Cyril does make them hurt for a little bit, but it's not going to be a hurt that they remember. Flop now is caught up in the CC for a little bit, and you can see Cyril getting low. Once again, he's going to use his Temporal Shield at this moment. Should go up without a problem. It does go off, but still at the end, it's not that needed. Grayson now trying to get aggressive inside of that Vendetta, but Kaldurg is that ticking clock. Once he gets that incarn again is when Bubble Block will have another potential go. Kaldurg inside of bear form now. He's caught in the kidney, but he's not too scared. Bean can get a little bit offensive here as well. Yeah,
looks like he's just going to be playing on top of Colo, and actually that Mark of Alanith is going to break that full blind. That's disaster. Huge waste there by OK. You know, Cyril puts up the Mark of Alanith. Everyone around that target is going to be taking some damage. Colo had no trinket for that blind. That could have been some good pressure for OK, but unfortunately a wasted opportunity. Cyril has Arcane Power up once again, looking for a polymorph, full polymorph over onto Colo. Kaldurg actually caught in the cat form. It's going to be up to Officer Bean to keep him alive. He is going to be able to as well. Survival Instincts has been used by Kaldurg, so, you know, surely OK is getting a lot of defenses, but it just seems like Bubble Block never runs out.
This is one of the we look at that last go, Kaldurg uses that Arcane Power, doesn't get too much. This time, at least Kaldurg does have to invest Survival Instincts, but still it's just another moment where OK's getting decent setup, getting decent pressure, but it's just not turning into that much. And at this point, I really do want to see them ride out dampening a little bit more to find a more powerful push. 2% to dampening right now, but they're going to go for that CC chain. You can see Colo still caught inside of the cheat. Now it's going to be Bean who's caught up as well. Kaldurg starting to take crazy damage. Maybe that Survival Instincts that they got in that last go will pay dividends. Grayson inside of Vendetta. Kaldurg now going to have Incarn as well. He doesn't look too scared yet. He has a Survival Instincts button to push, but he's not pushing it. He's holding off for just a little bit, but you know his finger is going to be right on that trigger to pop it if he does need to. Now caught inside the kidney. Bean getting rotted down a little bit as well, but Grayson outside of that scary mode of Vendetta. Cyril going to be the target who's taking the most pressures here. Still does have that ice block, but once again, a potentially greedy Temporal does go off here, but we can see Flop also using some defensive cooldowns as well. Going to use that Iron Bark and going to use the skin.
Yep.
There's the Incarn from Kaldurg.
Use that evasion as well. Incarnation gets, you know, deflected a little bit with that kidney shot. It looks like Grayson and Cyril trying to turn around the pressure over onto Kaldurg. Poly onto Colo. Clone onto Bean. Kaldurg needs to be able to survive. Survival Instinct should be enough to, you know, buy Colo a little bit of time to heal him up. Full Hodge over onto Flop now, who's still playing on top of him. This is an opportunity, you know, for Bubble Block. When Flop plays this aggressive, they can make swaps over onto that Resto Drib, but Flop just displaces away to safety across the map. Now another lockout over onto Colo. Bean might be forced to use that Divine Shield as well. Manages to survive with that Rapture, or sorry, that Archangel coming in from Colo. So Colo's gonna have empowered heals, you know, almost hopping off Bean. This is a full blind though, once again. Colo into that full CC, but it breaks to Mark of Alanith once again. No. That's a disaster for OK. 2 times in a row, full blind onto Colo, breaks. You have to be so careful because those are the windows you need to actually close out the game.
That blind is really almost your strongest offensive cooldown when you really think about it for OK. And that Mark of Alanith just at multiple times has broken CC, and it puts OK in these scary situations. They have to wait that much longer for a go now. Now OK deeper into dampening. They need to recover, they need to be calm, and they need to find one of these setups. Kidney onto Kaldurg. That's going to telegraph that he is our target. He knows it just as well as we do. He pops the Survival Instincts here. Colo still inside of the sheep. Maybe OK can now get back on their front foot. Bean getting chunked to smithereens is going to have to pop that bubble. Going to be safe for now, and they'll turn that pressure around. Cyril is going to be that target. He still does have a block to chill in if he needs to, but Flop going to use that Iron Bark for now. A very good trade in this go. Okay, maybe finding an opportunity here at 18% dampening.
Oh no, Colo into the full sheep. He trinkets out of that, still has that pain suppression, still has Rapture available. Didn't get to control his character for quite some time. That was a nice CC chain coming in from OK. Colo finally deciding to trinket out, but once again, blind is now off sync with that trinket. So if they don't mess up another blind, third blind in the game, they can definitely capitalize on that as Bean. He does not have that Blessing of Protection. Kaldurg, no survival instincts, no trinket. All they need is one good cross CC and they can definitely take Kaldurg down. Now Vendetta is available for Grayson. It looks like they're pulling the trigger onto Bean. Colo not in any crowd control though. There's finally the full polymorph. Bean is going to be using that Blessing of Spell Warding, I believe it's called, to keep himself alive. So Bean not going to be under any threat whatsoever from Serial, from that magical damage. He manages to survive. Archangel has been used by Colo, but we are at 22% dampening, so Archangel's not going to be providing him too much bonus healing, but it is enough for his team to stabilize. And now you can see OK actually falling further and further behind. Serial, no Arcane Power. Grayson, no Vendetta. Flop uses that Iron Bark, but he's having a difficult time topping himself off. And this is the setup I was talking about. Polymorph onto Bean, full blind onto Colo, now full sheep onto Colo. Kaldurg manages to survive though. Bean keeping him alive. Nicely done. Cyril now, in a little bit of trouble, gets hodged up. Temporal Shield was used. Silence onto Flop, and now they make a swap over him as well.
And now that blind was so important. In 25% dampening, we don't see as much out of that setup as we wanted to. And a big part of that is going to be the fact that there really wasn't the offensive cooldowns to back it up. Kaldurg, though, has an offensive cooldown as his own. He needs to reconnect to Cyril here. Cyril most likely going to lose that ice block inside of the Evoke and getting demolished inside of the block. He can wait it out for just a little bit, but Kaldurg isn't done yet. He tries to jump on over to Flop to get some pressure going there. A very, very nice Ursa going to pull Kaldurg out of the fight for just a second. Flop, though, still not too comfortable. Inside of the bear form, needs to move away. Still trying to play his pillar just a little bit, but his entire team starting to feel the pressure. Cyril going to trade out an offensive cooldown of his own. Kaldurg now inside of the survival instincts. Bean getting low as well. Good pressure coming out from OK. There isn't too much CC to back it up, but just like that, we see the kidney onto Colo. That's going to trade out the PS. Bean is getting low. Kaldurg low clone. Now, Colo just has to use everything here, but he's caught into the sheet.
Yeah, this could just be it. Bean might not be able to keep himself alive for much longer. Polymorph onto Colo, gets the re-polymorph. Bean trying to survive, throwing out some offense onto Cyril. Cyril does not have that ice block available. They can just live a little bit longer. Once again, that magic bop's going to be coming out from Bean, denying any of that damage coming in from this mage. Everyone from OK is rotting down, though. Barskin committed, Iron Bark committed. Kaldurg putting out huge pressure for his team, but he's rotting down low as well. Colo just can't get the heals out. He is 100% mana. Cyril's still low, running back to Flop, full kidney shot onto Kaldurg. OK's doing everything they can to survive a little bit longer. Colo has the Archangel up. This is going to be huge for his team, but luckily, OK, Flop, he was able to toss out a lot of heals there. His team has stabilized. Both teams are relatively safe, but as I say that, Flop gets interrupted. Serial still, he needs to be able to kite away. Nice bash over onto Kaldurg. Good response from Flop into that full Cyclone. That's exactly what he needed to do to keep Serial alive.
36% dampening. Anyone can fall. And we see Cyril now going to be caught inside that kick, but Bean looks like he may topple over here, trying to stay alive for himself as Colo's stuck into another Cyclone. Bean looks like he should fall down, and OK still trying to find him. Finally do take him down, and just barely escape that game. It was looking terrifying for them, and Bubble Block still trying to get that pressure out, but it looks like Kaldurg should fall down. Now he's going to be caught into the kidney. Colo gets out just in the nick of time, pulls him over, but now caught into the CC. It looks like to you guys at home, though, WizK did not magically find his way in the arena. Then that's just going to be, the name is going to be incorrect, but you know who it is. And now we will have to see who comes out on top in this one. Beanslayer going to be in the arena on the Feral now. No more prop pally from him, but the Rogue Mage going to open up. They find the triple CC, and they find Floor Mat instantly trading out that wall, that Astral Shift that's going to keep him safe for just a little bit. Colo gets his way out of the blind, and he's going to have to trade out that Rapture. Wants to make sure that Floor Mat stays nice and safe for now, as he is kicked as well, so he's not getting out any damage. Cyril, though, with a heads-up play, gets a beautiful Temporal Shield that gets him right back up to full. A little bit more pressure is going to come out, and we already know Beanslayer is terrifying when he's on this Feral. You saw him on Prot Pally, but the amount of damage he has gotten out time and time again, even on the BlizzCon main stage, has been terrifying. Now Cyril going to use his Arcane Power, trying to get some pressure going for OK.
Yeah, this is nicely done by OK. You can see anytime Colo gets stunned, both Flop and Cyril are casting Polymorph and Cyclone simultaneously. That means that his opponents can only interrupt one of those. So nice CC chain coming in. Floormat, he has to run away. I mean, he's in a full kidney shot right now. Colo, luckily, able to get out of that Polymorph, spam some heals on the Floormat. It gets interrupted. We can see if Cyril can actually land another interrupt over onto Colo, and he does. Floormat just not getting topped off, now spamming out his own healing surges, trying to survive. You can see Bean trying to turn around the pressure over onto Cyril right now. Flop using Barskin, using Iron Bark, using Trinket. So Bean Slayer doing a great job getting that counter pressure his team needs. Astral Shift's going to be up for a Floormat, quite soon. Cole still has the pain suppression. He has that Archangel up. That kidney shot really going to not do too much onto Floormat. Cyril getting bursted down once again, getting lower and lower. Caught into the stun. Is this going to be it? Is he going to go down with the ice block once again? Looks like he does get it off by Colo with a Night's Master spell. Bash over on the Flop as well. No Iron Bark available. If Bean and Floormat can connect, a lot of damage on a Cyril. He's still not out of the woods yet, trying for dear life to survive. Nice kick from Bean onto Flop, and eventually Cyril will fall. Bubble Block doing an excellent job riding that momentum, keeping up the interrupts, keeping up the CC on the Flop, and eventually finding that kill.
Well, there are so many things to say about that series. I was about to say the Flop was just doing a phenomenal job with those Cyclones. It seemed like they had just completely pushed.
Damage of the Ellie is going to be big as well. We can see some really, really big Earth Shocks come out of Floormat, and that's what we're going to have to look out for onto Cyril.
I think that's the thing. It's so explosive in so many ways with the way Bean can assist Floormat in getting out damage. You can even get kicked, and all of a sudden you get kicked on one school, and oh fine, I'm kicked on Frost. I'm just gonna get out as many lava bursts as I can. But the triple CC is coming out from OK, and this is why OK does find themselves in a commanding position just based off of their comp, because Bubble Block, although they are making them guess right now, OK on Rogue Mage, it is this durable composition that can find that cross CC anywhere. And Elliot Floormat now trying to get out a little bit of damage as he is going to pop that artifact.
Yeah, we saw a nice triple CC coming in for OK, but they really didn't get anything whatsoever. That's a blind over onto Colo. Grayson getting low as well. Evasion has been forced out. He still has the Cloak of Shadow, so he shouldn't be in too much trouble, but that was a nice swap coming in from Bubble Block. Flop now charging and gets silenced up, almost getting exploded there by Floormat. Offensively, Bubble Block is looking much better in this matchup. I think tagging in the Elemental Shaman, OK, I don't think they know what to do in this position.
I don't think they have a gauge either. I don't think they know truly how explosive Floormat can be. And sitting here right now, even as a spectator, I don't think we do. We know it can be explosive, but the question is how explosive. That damage goes onto Flop. Flop gets kicked by that range kick that Bean brings as well. Now Colo going to find himself in a little bit of pressure for the first time in a while, but you see Bubble Block gets out CC in a beautiful way. Grayson still caught into that fear for a little bit, and Cyril taking so much damage is going to be forced into this Temporal Shield. Swapping now onto Grayson. Who cares about the Temporal Shield? We're going to deal damage to the Rogue, says Bubble Block. This pressure phenomenal. Whoa. Grayson could just fall down.
Yeah, that's the Cloak of Shadows. No evasion, no Cloak of Shadows available for Grayson. Full Hodge over on the Flop. Bubble Block looking like they want to push in, keep up the pressure. Grayson just really can't get anything going. I mean, when you look at Bubble Block's comp before with the Feral Druid, it's easy to kite, it's easy to run away, it's easy to overextend your opponents, the Feral Druid and the Protection Paladin, but now you have that range threat coming in from that Elemental Shaman, and you can see him putting out that big burst. You see Bean getting the Hodges on Flop, getting the Silences on Flop, and then Cyril and Grayson just getting exploded. Full Cyclone over onto Bean. Vendetta has been used on Floormat, but they just can't find any damage.
Hey, it's the truth. And, I'm just thinking about this Bubble Block team right now and what they're doing, how they are being just so good at mixing up these comps. Putting OK in a tough position is finally, it is going to be OK. He tries to get this pressure onto Bean, and I really do think about maybe when this team came together, because I remember Colo was looking for a team for such a long time, because I kept hitting him up, just asking, hey man, where are you going to be playing? And it just seems like no matter how late they waited, they have found just an interesting synergy, and it really is a great team to watch. And OK is trying to find a win condition against a composition that they're playing for the first time in this series, and Grayson is going to be the one on the chopping block. Flop going to need to invest Gahanir to try to get those dots ticking a little bit faster on his teammates.
Yep, Flop, no Trinket, no Iron Bark, so Grayson could be in trouble. Still has the Cloak, still has the Faint Spam. Zero still has that Ice Block, so defensively OK is looking decently, but they can't really get much going offensively. Colo gets caught into the kidney shot. It seems like OK has made a target swap. They're not getting anything done on floor mat. Now they want to pressure down Colo a little bit. This is much more taxing on his mana. And we've seen in previous games, Colo basically full mana from being crowd controlled so much that out of combat mana regen doing work. But now pressuring down Colo, he's running a little bit further behind on mana, flops ahead for the first time in this series ever.
And also, Colo is one of those players I really do want to see tested when he's on the Disc Priest. So I do like that out of OK. If you really think about Colo's history and the classes that he does typically bring, this is one of the times you really do want to test Colo. See if you can push him outside of his comfort zone. They try to do just that. Now Bean's going to be stunned up here, but you can see Floormat trades out, just gets very aggressive. Grayson getting low. Flop going to need to use the Iron Bark onto him, and this is Grayson's Vendetta, and nobody looking scared on the side of Bubble Block. A very nice mind control puts Grayson all the way on the other side of the map. It takes him quite a bit of time to get back, but the pressure doesn't stop just because he's out of the fight. They're able to get some nice damage onto Cyril as well. Still inside of Vendetta is Grayson. Finally, it wears off. We see Bean taken out of the fight for a little while, but Floormat's just doing a phenomenal job here of always keeping the pressure going, always taking defensive cooldowns away, and we already saw just how Floormat can pop off at almost any moment, and when these defensive cooldowns move away, we could see a win at any time from Bubble Block.
Yeah, it was an interesting play there by Colo. Bean was caught into a stun in a poison bomb, so I guess he really doesn't want OK to do any damage, as he did life grip him out of that. Now caught into the full kidney shot. Can OK find the damage that they need? It doesn't look like it. Look at Cyril. He's just so far away. A little bit of a split strategy coming in from Bubble, or from OK. Doesn't look like he can really push in. It hasn't worked out for them so far, so they're just trying to run away, overextend Bean, pressure down Bean, and maybe play the mana bar of Colo in this matchup. We have just moved into dampening. It's a nice fear over onto Grayson, as he is a little bit, overextended right now, but does break to Floormat. Now Floormat caught into the full kidney shot. No CC on Colo whatsoever, though, so they are just looking to do damage, just trying to play dampening, play Colo's mana bar, not looking for those long CC chains once again, as this Elemental Shaman has been able to deny it so far.
And I do like the fact that they're trying to adapt, trying to be a dynamic team on this Rogue Mage, but there's give and takes with every single strategy, and if you try to play Colo's mana bar, you are only making Floormat that much more explosive when he gets into dampening, and you can see that explosion once again, and he seems to be doing really good swaps onto Flop when he needs to. Bubble Block, though, for the first time starting to receive some semblance of pressure as Grayson goes into his Vendetta as well, but Flop is going to be CC'd up, which makes Grayson look very dangerous right now, and once again, he's going to have to pop that cloak.
Yeah, he uses his Trinket, uses that Cloak of Shadow, still has evasion, so not hopeless in terms of defensives, but not looking good. Grayson definitely is a decent kill target for Bubble Block. Full blind over onto Bean. He wants to deny that kill opportunity. Grayson, feeling the heat, using that major offensive cooldown, that blind defensively. So that's pretty big for Bubble Block. Obviously, they lost their kill opportunity, but now not going to be in too much danger. Full Hodge over onto Flop, but just no damage to follow it up. Really, this is an interesting game. Both teams, I feel like, don't have a huge grasp of this matchup potentially. OK just trying to get out as much damage as they can, survive for as long as possible. Obviously, they're a little bit ahead on mana, but Colo has looked like he's slowed down, maybe not throwing out those defensive dispels, realizing what they're doing. In the meantime, Cyril getting bursted up. That was his arcane power, but unfortunately, he's the one that had to play defensive.
I feel like Bubble Block is in an interesting position where they almost just don't care what happens, they just have to survive, because they will find eventually a moment where all of a sudden Floormat can just decimate someone, and they can just kind of hang out in this matchup, and whenever OK does, they just get to kind of laugh. I mean, look, Floormat hasn't been pressured at all. He hasn't used Astral Shift since who knows when. Bean now going to be caught inside of a kidney, but all of a sudden Grayson is in another position where he's popping his offensive cooldowns, and he looks like he's taking more damage than anyone else on the map. That's not a good position to be in. Now a swap goes onto Flop. He's inside of the skin, but he still looks terrified. Gonna play his pillar to his advantage inside of bear form. Colo gonna be sheep, but there isn't much follow-up as far as damage is concerned. Being such a tanky target, Cyril may have to invest his ice block here.
Whoa, getting lower and lower. Almost not using that ice block, temporal enough, though, to keep him alive. He does manage to survive there. Flop having to play catch-up, though, as everyone is rotting down. And Bubble Block, interestingly enough, is doing the strategy I'd like to see from OK. I don't think Bean and Floormat have been on the same target once this game, kind of just attacking stuff, letting this Elemental Shaman do work. I'd like to see OK adopt a similar strategy, but so far, Bubble Block doing a great job. 20% dampening. OK is falling further and further behind. Cyril just not able to top off. This is amazing how much pressure is coming out from this protection Protection Paladin and this Elemental Shaman.
And as much as you were saying, okay, trying to play that mana bar, Colo's still in a pretty good position, around 50, maybe 40% here. Going to use the Rapture here to keep his team healthy. And it's very rare to see a team like in the position of Bubble Block's in. I don't think they care who they hit. Like, I actually don't think they care who they hit for a large majority of these goes. They'll just rip something away, and they're trying to figure out who that target's going to be. PS going to come out here onto Bean as he is caught into that kidney. But at any moment, expect floor mat to start popping off. Bean going to ignite that spark. Grayson, once again, inside of Vendetta. Finally, floor mat's going to be tested, but he still had that astral shift from so long ago. But Colo inside of the sheep, all of a sudden some life for OK.
Yeah, I think that's the first time this game Floormat had to use that cooldown, but that's what happens when dampening gets higher and higher. That Protection Paladin's going to be less effective. Kidney shot on Nicolo, Bean getting rotted down a little bit as well, but Grayson, you can see getting lower and lower. He still has evasion and Cloak of Shadow, so if he wants, he can use both of those immunities, and he'll be completely fine. Cyril, though, in the meantime, getting bursted down a little bit. Temporal Shield tops him off. Flop getting interrupted there. You can see Floormat trying to create some pressure for his team, but Bean is being taken down by Grayson. Full polymorph over onto Colo. He has no out for this, but luckily for Bean, he still has that Divine Shield if he needs it. Evasion going to be used. Cloak of Shadow is going to be used, and now Grayson could be in a lot of trouble.
As long as Bean lives here, a very important thing happened. As long as Bubble Block is able to pull Iron Bark, they should be able to kill anyone on the map. Bean ultimately has his big get out of jail free card, and he pops it right there. Bubble Block now starting to run out of cooldowns on their side as well. Floor mat looking like a susceptible target, and so is Bean. Cyril is getting very low on the other side of the field, though. Finally, the Iron Bark is pulled, but OK has found a beautiful triple CC trying to tear down Bean. Colo, once again, is going to be stuck inside of that sheep, but he gets out just in the nick of time. Looks like Bubble Block should be able to live this. If they do live this, they may be able to take down Cyril. Bean, though, looks like he could fall down. OK, in the last seconds of this game, have maybe found a win condition.
Yeah, Bean using 3 immunities in a row, so Bean in this situation. Colo still has a trinket, but Cyril in a lot of trouble with that fear onto Flop. No trinket available. Cyril getting bursted down. Floormat looking to connect the damage. He does. Cyril gets taken down. Bubble Block, they just never ran out of defensives. Bean had so many immunities there, managed to survive just long enough for Floormat to do enough work to take down OK.
That's the series as well for Bubble Block.
Game number 1.
Yep, and it is, of course, Mez and Trill were the people to eliminate Sea-Doo from last year's runnings at the North American Regionals. Now a team, this is the first time in 2018 we'll see them together on this roster.
Yeah, you can see Method Orge looking to get aggressive very early on, but the sap over onto Sea-Doo, cheap shot on Trill. Mez is the target of choice. Majidin gets the follow-up crowd control, bursting down Mez, but he's using that Wraith Walk, just line of sighting, try to avoid this damage. Trill is doing a great job peeling on that Windwalker Monk. He has a lot of defensives he can use for his team. AMS forced out, Earth Shield as well. Full kidney shot on Sea-Doo. This is a nice swap coming in from Super Frogs. AMZ as a response to that swap on Sea-Doo, as he did have no Earth Shield, so Super Frogs getting a lot done early on.
Yep, Super Frogs incarnate with the addition of Majidin. This Rogue Mage Priest is near the top of the North American ladder. You can see why Mez, dropping low, has the Icebound Fortitude available, trying to hold on to that right now. Even though he is the person low on health, Sea-Doo is the one to watch for. No PvP trinket, this Rogue Mage Priest could swap.
Yeah, nice blind over on a Cubsy. Big burst over on a Majidin. Doesn't have a blink available. Does trinket, blinks away. Should be okay. You know, Cubsy, he uses that pain suppression, so a key defensive force. Now a full stun over on the Sea-Doo. He's in a lot of trouble. Do they have the follow-up damage? Earth Shield is swapped over. Nice incapacitate coming in from Trill. You can see Mez and Trill still just relentlessly training down Majidin.
That was a really good incapacitate. That denied the follow-up cheap shot. That might have saved Sea-Doo's life, but now he's got some work to do. Gets step kicked, still low on health, his entire team rotting down. You can see a few defensive cooldowns though, the Spirit Link, the Icebound Fortitude for Mez. So Method Orange are not out of this game right now, but they need to connect over onto that Arcane Mage. Mez and Trill need to get their work done to force that Ice Block.
Yeah, and you can see Sea-Doo's mana is very taxed right now. He has been spamming out those purges. Majidin nicely done with that Temporal Shield. Ice Block forced out as well. The surprise dragon coming in from Mez, but Sea-Doo gets kicked. He's trying to line of sight Majidin's damage. Presence of Mind comes in, 2 Arcane Blasts. Sea-Doo should be able to survive with that Astral Shift, though. Spirit Link Totem has been dropped. Cubsy almost tapped on defensives. Majidin, no Ice Block left. Both teams playing on fumes, but Method Orange just can't catch up at this point.
We could not have asked for a better game 1. This has been so close. How is Sea-Doo going to stabilize his team at the moment? Mez pushes in, gets the Death Grip over onto Cubsy, into the follow-up capacitor. This could easily be the game onto Majidin. He does not have a breaker.
No
the kick
way.
over onto Cubsy, and he does fall. Mez with the beautiful Blood Elf into the kick, into the stun. taking down Majorden in game 1. What a close game.
That was their only, or their last opportunity to win that game. CD was completely...
He's going for that all-in build with Trill, of course, on the Windwalker Monk. And just talk to me about these guys, Venruki. I mean, you play against them on the ladder. Trill and Mez play so well together.
Yeah, this is a team. These are my teammates on live. I play with them quite often, but Mez and Trill, they have been playing phenomenally together. Last year, they had an incredible run. Both of them melee experts, and you know, they really did work in that last game. This game, you know, we'll have to see how Super Frogs responds. Incapacitate with that incap from Trill into a cap stun over onto Cubsy. So nice CC chain. That's something we're going to consistently see out of these guys. Trill with that incapacitate, and Sea-Doo with that cap stun to put you know, Cubsy in a position where he gets crowd controlled and they can actually get some pressure.
Yeah, it was very interesting play out there from Wealthy Man already, committing the blind to Mez to actually peel that Nemesis with, of course, all of the offensive cooldowns from the Demon Hunter into the kidney shot on the Trinket. So well played by him. Good mid-game adaptation to revolve around that talent choice coming out of Mez. Still, though, that means it's not available for Sea-Doo, so most likely they're going to swap more of their damage over onto him. You can see he's already traded out the Healing Tide and the Oven Shield Totem as Mez dropping low. So interesting strategies from both sides already.
Yeah, Mez getting lower and lower. Blur has already been used, using that Blade Dance, trying to avoid some damage. Sea-Doo trying to land the heals, but Mez still low. That Netherwalk's going to keep him alive for now, that immunity, but Sea-Doo still locked out. Mez not getting topped off. Finally, Sea-Doo can cast out some healing waves. Mez going to be okay, but at the expense of basically every single defensive cooldown. Sea-Doo still has Trinket and Link, so Method Orange is in an okay position. Incapacitate into that cap stun onto Cubsy. Majorden just kiting away, avoiding as much damage as possible. Nice off stuns coming in from Wealthy Man. So well done by him playing defensive.
Yeah, I think the blue bar on Sea-Doo, of course, he's got 2 blue bars being a shaman, but that mana bar specifically is something to watch. He's been purging a lot already in this game, once again down to about 30% and struggling to top off his team. He was able to hold on to the Spirit Link Totem, which means he does have that answer should the next crowd control chain be troublesome for them. But at the same time, they're not playing for the long game. Cubsy's also had to trade out a fair bit of mana, though. We see Mez caught up in the kidney shot. Because he's playing with the double melee, they can just trade out the Spirit Link whenever they need it, but Sea-Doo doesn't have the AoE healing cooldowns to stabilize his team right now.
Yeah, very important. Super Frogs was able to put out enough damage to actually get the blur from Mez, so they have one more opportunity. Mez will not have a Trinket. He will not have blur. If they can get some CC over onto Sea-Doo that sticks, you know, Wealthy Man has that Vendetta coming up. They can definitely potentially take down Mez. Also, you know, Mez putting out some damage right now, but Super Frogs in a decent position. Majorden doing a good job, like Zico said in the last game. Not playing super defensive, but changing it up this game. The big swap over onto Cubsy with that Metamorphosis full blind over onto Mez. He Trinkets out of it, gets caught into the full kidney shot. Mez may have overextended his position right here with that offensive Trinket. You know, Majorden and Wealthy Man putting in a lot of damage with that Vendetta. Cubsy still in a little bit of trouble, though, using that Archangel. Nice Earthen Shield Totem coming in from Sea-Doo, keeping Shrill and Mez offensive at this point in the game. Cubsy, once that Archangel falls, not going to have too much left to survive this Demon Hunter and this Windwalker damage.
This has been a really good all-in strategy coming out of Method Orange, and like you say, Cubsy doesn't have that much left, though. Full Trinket over onto Sea-Doo. There's the kidney shot. This could easily be the game. Mez dropping lower and lower. Double fear out of that. Do they have anything else? The darkness comes out in the nick of time. No follow-up stun there from Wealthy Man to deny Mez getting that cooldown. We see the Spirit Link now is available out of the crowd control, and Cubsy is He has nothing left. They could get the kill right here, Venruki.
Yep, full polymorph on Mez, though. Cubsy still just spamming out the Clarity of Wills. Sea-Doo doesn't have much mana left to get out those purges that they potentially need to take down Cubsy. This could be a bait. Trill needs to be able to reconnect. They need the full stun. That's a Chaos Nova onto Cubsy, but he's going to be okay. He gets away with the pendants. Kidney shot over onto Mez. Fear onto Trill. Super Frog stabilizes, but Cubsy has no mana left. That's a polymorph and a polymorph over onto Sea-Doo with that Fear onto Trill, but looking like Method Orange is in decent spot. Blur's going to be up in a little bit for them. Mez getting lower and lower. Super Frogs really doesn't have too much going for them. Vendetta is coming up, though. That is an opportunity for Wealthy Man to get aggressive, but Wealthy Man gets caught into the full stun. Trinkets out of it. That was going to be very dangerous. Vendetta now available, but it looks like Method Orange once again is turning their attention over to Cubsy.
Yeah, they really are. They do have to kind of dry down that mana bar. You see at the same time, though, Wealthy Man without any defensive cooldowns right now. Vendetta committed over onto Mez. There's the kick onto Sea-Doo. He has his Ascendance, but needs to get some heals out. Stun onto Wealthy Man now. Hex onto Majorden, denying a lot of that offensive pressure, but a good double fear comes out of Cubsy to deny that. Full sheep over onto Sea-Doo. Mez in so much trouble. He doesn't really have anything left. The blur is down. He could easily fall here, but Wealthy Man can't quite connect. He needs to play defensive. Mez able to get behind the pillar and survive.
Yeah, using that Demon Hunter mobility to survive. Kidney shot over onto Sea-Doo. Mez still rotting down. Paralysis over onto Cubsy. Cubsy. Counter pressure over onto Majin. Can they race to Temporal Shield? Very close. Temporal Shield does pop, though. Now full blind onto Mez. It breaks. So that's unfortunate. I think he actually may have trinketed out of that. Nemesis has been used by Mez. They're looking to get super aggressive over onto Wealthy Man right now. Majin and Wealthy Man rotting down. Cubsy has no mana left. Rapture is the only thing keeping his team alive. Kidney shot on Sea-Doo. He trinkets out as well. Earthen Shield Totem has been committed. Mez needs to survive just a little bit longer. Full leg sweep on Wealthy Man. Trinkets out of that. So Trill trying to put some peels, trying to keep his team alive, but Wealthy Man uses that trinket now into a full incapacitate. Now Method Orange looking to get aggressive once again.
Both these healers are and dampening has started. That's not what you want to see if you're Sea-Doo or Cubsy. Both these teams dropping so low as we see Mez caught up into the kidney shot. Might just fall here. There's so much damage. The arcane missiles pounding this Demon Hunter. He's able to kite away though. Look at that mobility, so effective. Then get a stun over to the overextending Wealthy Man. Maybe that could be the game. We see the Cloak of Shadows though with the Vendetta. This is surely going to be it. Mez surely will fall on Tolvir on Arena.
No
They're able to kite again. Majidin now pushing in very aggressively. Does not have that ice block. Trill's looking to counter pressure there. Desperately shields coming out of Cubsy. How are these guys still alive?
The only thing that kept Mez alive there is he kited to Trill so Trill could get the double Fist of Fury, but I don't think Mez can live much longer. That's the polymorph. Super Frogs ties it up. Beautiful defensive play by Mez, but Super Frogs prevails. That was a very scary situation for Cubsy. He was getting trained down, didn't have any mana left. Kudos to him. And honestly, the only thing that kept them alive was those insane fears that came out.
Yeah, I mean, it was insane plays on both sides. I mean, we saw in the previous game, Mez.
And obviously it's worked out so well for them so far in this tournament.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, they're here. They're in the top 6 already, 1-1 against such a juggernaut roster. Super Frogs, we talked about how they have such a variety of compositions at their disposal, but they are sticking to this Rogue Mage Priest once again in Game 3 on Dalaran Suras. Sap over onto Sea-Doo. Let's see if they can get a good opener over onto Mez. Actually, he's able to kite away, so they're going to swap it over onto Sea-Doo.
Yep, Sea-Doo taking a little bit of damage right now. He decides to trinket and use the Astral Shift. That was only the Vendetta committed by Wealthy Man. So now Sea-Doo's in a situation where Majidin still has that arcane power, but Sea-Doo has no cooldowns defensively. Method Orange looking to get some damage. Full leg sweep over onto Majidin, but a nice life grip coming in from Cubsy, denying that damage. Sea-Doo still just getting rotted down. Majidin uses that arcane power, but Mez has a response. He does use that anti-magic zone that's going to be enough to, deflect that incoming attack. Now Majidin potentially overextending, but Cubsy keeping him alive with the Rapture Archangel. Incapacitated on Cubsy. He does trinket out of that. Doesn't want Method Orange to get any sort of momentum right now.
This is something that you'll see a lot from Rogue Mage. We actually saw it from ABC in the BlizzCon Grand Finals as well. When the Resto Shaman wants to be aggressive with Purges, just hit him. And then he can't do that. He can't afford to be aggressive. We can see Kidney Shot over onto him now. Barely gets the Spirit Link off between the stuns, but could still die. His entire team is so low. Has to pop the Ascendance, has to top himself behind the pillar. Mez still struggling. They do have counter pressure on Super Frogs, but now with the full blind, Sea-Doo's still in trouble.
Yeah, Wealthy Man does not have a Vanish, so he's not going to be able to get that follow-up sap. Incapacitate onto Majidin. Nicely done by Trill, denying that incoming CC. Sea-Doo finally has some moments to get some healing on his team, but that's a full kidney shot once again. I like what Wealthy Man is doing, really pressuring Sea-Doo on that Restoration Shaman, making it difficult. In the meantime, Majidin is rotting down both Mez and Trill. Wealthy Man in this series so far has done an excellent job throwing that poison knife onto the entire enemy team, putting up that wound poison we talked about, making it very difficult to heal through that spread pressure.
Yeah, they were able to get the Icebound Fortitude from Mez there, so of course he was able to top himself at the expense of that cooldown, but good counter pressure. They get the Ice Block, get some damage over onto Cubsy, who is also quite low on health right now. We see once again Vendetta committed over onto Sea-Doo, trades out the Astral Shift. Now we need to see, do they have the anti-magic zone for the arcane power? If they can cross-control Mez on that arcane power, they could easily take down Sea-Doo.
Yeah, this is Vendetta though. Sea-Doo in a lot of trouble, getting lower and lower, down to 5% HP, and he is taken down. Trill coming in with a nice stun, trying to deflect that attack, but Super Frog finds the damage. Majin a little bit low, but Temporal Shield, Cubsy's heals, that's going to be enough. It's unlikely Method Orange is going to come back in this situation against a team of their upper bracket lives on the line. If they do lose this match, they will be going down to the losers bracket. Super Frog's going to be looking for a very aggressive opener. Once again, it's going to be interesting to see if they make any adjustments as Mez is on Unholy.
Yep, he is on Unholy. We'll have to see how it's going to play out as once again Super Frogs, they get the opener over onto Sea-Doo. He's choosing not to trade out his trinket this time. Anti-magic zone instead, overlapped with the Astral Shift. So a fair few cooldowns coming out here in exchange for the arcane power and the Vendetta of Super Frogs. Very aggressive opener. Blind has to be trinketed as well to top himself off. They get a lot for those offenses.
They are all in onto Cubsy. Unholy Death Knights do a lot of work over onto that Priest, but now Sea-Doo into the full kidney. He has no trinket. He already trinketed the blind. He could be in a lot of trouble, but just not too much damage coming out. Nice incapacitate from Trill over onto Wealthy Man. Leg sweep over onto Cubsy. Cubsy has basically used every single defensive cooldown but this pain suppression. If Trill and Mez can keep this uptime. Sea-Doo just needs to live a little bit longer.
Yeah, he does have the Spirit Link Totem, trades out in the nick of time, did not want to get stunned without that available as Cubsy dropping low. Down to 10%, he might just die. The shield on 0 health, it can't be pudged because of the kidney shot. They get the peels, both these healers dropping so low. I cannot believe Cubsy survived.
Cubsy barely lived 1% HP. Shadowman after Shadowman gets interrupted. Nice polymorph over on the Mez. That's the only thing keeping Cubsy alive. Sea-Doo may have ran out of time though. They had their opportunity. Cubsy is able to top himself off, and Sea-Doo really absolutely has nothing left. Majin needs to find a little bit of damage. That's a full kidney shot. Once again, nice incapacitate coming in from Trill. That's the only thing that's keeping Sea-Doo in this game. Nice double fear. Sea-Doo trying to survive. Mez caught into the fear. He's so far away. Can't help out his team. Trill just can't get any pressure. Full polymorph over onto Trill as well. Mez grips Multi-Man away, but unfortunately he's able to shadow step back. Now Sea-Doo's still in a lot of trouble, just surviving at 30% HP. That Shaman Mastery doing work.
Yeah, beautiful blink counterspell though. The asphyxiate just a second too late. Full kidney over onto Sea-Doo. This will be game. Super Frogs winning it 3-1, but such a close game. You saw both these teams peeling so phenomenally. We saw Major Din coming in with the polymorphs to peel Cubsy. We saw some great incaps as well from Trill to keep the forms.
Yeah, this is not. Yeah, this is not a composition I have ever seen before coming out from the move, and I don't know how much practice Method Black has against us. They're running the traditional Assassination, Arcane Mage with that Discipline Priest, whereas the move, Shadow Priest, Hunter, Shaman. There's not too much defense for WizK on that Shaman. If they put a lot of interrupts on him, it could be very difficult for him to get up that initial damage.
Yeah, but on the flip side, if he does get that damage out, we know Marksman Hunters deal a lot, as do Shadow Priests, so they can definitely rot down Method Black against Goreki's Discipline Priest healing. They've got the crowd control with the Marksman Hunter. We see Trap over onto him. They forced the Trinket from Absurd, so watch that, but a beautiful Master Spell on that polymorph from WizK.
Yeah, Snuts held on to his Vendetta, and he pulled the Trinket from Absurd, so there's definitely a big swap opportunity there for Method Black a little bit later in the game. WizK getting out some damage. Vampiric Embrace has been popped. Method Black retreating behind the pillar right now. Doesn't want to allow Jellybeans to get out too much damage. Absurge, likely kill target. He preemptively puts that Earth Shield on himself. Absurge does get blinded up. Is there going to be any follow-up CC? You can see Goreki charging in potentially for another fear. Samayam looking for potentially some damage as well. That's a full sap onto Absurge. WizK taking a little bit of pressure right now. He did use his Trinket. A little bit of self-healing there. You can see Absurge into the Polymorph still, into another fear. WizK still hasn't used his Disperse. This is incredible that he's been able to hold on to those defensives for so long. Yeah,
I was actually surprised they didn't use the blind to get the swap over onto Absurge, but now they forced that Spirit Link, they may well do so. You can see WizK without with the Dispersion, he's not going to be a great kill target, so Absurge looking a lot better. Snot swapping over to him. Ever the Veteran uses that Vendetta, forces out the Astral Shift. Oh no, not the Astral Shift, the Earthen Shield Totem. So now, not many cooldowns on Absurge. We can see one more go with that Arcane Power for Samayam, maybe secure the match.
Yeah, it still wasn't too bad. Snuts committed Vendetta there, and Absurge didn't really have to use anything but Earthen Shield Totem. Samayam rotting lower and lower. Goreki able to get some heals out right now, casting out that Shadowman with Archangel. Snuts putting out some pressure for his team, making a swap over onto Absurge. Actually just line of sighting. Goreki caught into a full trap. This is the interesting strategy coming up from the move, just putting on a lot of pressure. You can see Jellybeans playing, the CC'er for his team. A lot of CC onto Goreki with that, that bursting shot into that full trap, into the silence. In the meantime, Snuts and Samayam both rotting down. Method Black having a difficult time finding a kill target in this matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, as soon as that initial pressure is over, the move have looked in control here. Absurge's Trinkets back up, still Dispersion available for WizK, so he's sitting fine, and they're getting a lot of pressure out. Goreki is doing a fantastic job, though, healing through the damage. We see the counterspell over onto Absurge. That's going to force out the Dispersion. Still a Void Shift or Life Swap available for WizK, but they're really struggling to actually get Goreki's mana bar down, even with the spread pressure.
Yeah, Method Black playing it very intelligently. Both the Hunter and the Shadow Priest, they need you in their line of sight to do damage. You just line of sight them, run away, become difficult. WizK actually emptying that sheep. That was a nice sheep from Samayam. Unfortunately, Snuts wasn't there to stop that. Full kidney shot onto Absurge now as they make a swap over onto him. He does Trinket out. That means that Snuts, he has his blind available for Absurge. If they can get a full blind into Sap or Polymorph onto Absurge, they can definitely take down WizK in this situation. That is the Earthen Shield Totem as well. You can see Goreki trapped up on the other side of the map. Samayam comes back to play some defense with the full Polymorph onto Jellybeans. Absurge not able to get that follow-up. And now, there it is. The full blind onto Absurge, kidney shot onto WizKay. Trinkets actually life swaps Jellybeans, so nice. That was one last line of defense that they had available.
Yeah, it was, but I mean, there's so many win conditions on the side of Method Black. They're winning on mana, they're winning on cooldowns. This game is just all over them. WizKay dropping lower and lower. Even though he used the life swap, he will still die in this setup. The move, lose the first game. It was an interesting composition. It was one that definitely produced some pressure for some cooldowns out of Method Black, but it wasn't enough to take down this all-star lineup. Sam grow, but Snuts really has been the MVP so far for me.
Yep, he's really good at multi-classing, doing a good job on the rogue so far in this game. Snuts is in stealth, going to be pushing in, looking for a sap, but you can see Jellybeans and WizKay both charging in, trying to get combat. Snuts does get an opener, Garrote onto WizKay, as well as Absurge. Kidney shot onto Absurge. Mark of Alaneth has been used by Sam, so good pressure very early on. That's Trinket, as well as the Astral Shift. This is a nice opener for Method Black.
Yeah, it's very good. They also held on to the Arcane Power, and of course, a Shadow Priest and a Hunter really don't have like a Darkness or an Anti-Magic Zone. They have the life swap, but we saw that the Method Black are capable of going through that if they need to. So we see Double Fear over onto the DPS, blind on Absurge. Are they going on WizKay or are they looking for the swap? They get the Trinket. Maybe they could cross-control and get the swap over onto Absurge out of that Polymorph. At the same time, though, the move getting a lot of pressure. Grecky needs to top them off, uses the Archangel to do so, forces the dispersion actually on WizKay. Maybe they can get the kidney over onto Absurge. Looks like they're just going to tunnel through.
Yeah, Method Black just running over the move right now. Temporal Shield was used, deflecting that damage. WizKay could still be in a lot of trouble. You can see Gorecki in a position to potentially land a big fear as well, so he's not too far away from Absurge. Full kidney shot on Absurge, though. He's in a lot of trouble. WizKay needs to get the life swap, but he can't. Absurge is taken down. Method Black all over the place, really exploiting the fact that Jellybeans really can't peel Snuts and Sam. This is kind of how this matchup was expected to play out.
Yeah, it really was, and it reminds me actually of Subtlety Specialist going up against Snuts, the multi-classing former world champion. This is going to be a matchup of the gods. We see Rogue Mage on one side, Thug Cleave with that Hunter on the other. Let's watch the openers. Both these rogues starting in stealth, going to be looking for saps or openers onto the other healers, as we actually see Snuts is the first one to pounce over onto Absurge.
Yeah, Peekaboo opening up onto Snuts, so a lot of pressure onto him. Trinket, Vanish, Cloak of Shadows. Snuts getting a little bit cocky there, and definitely the move making him pay for that. Vendetta has been used. Not sure who they put that Vendetta onto right now. No one's really taking too much pressure. I guess Absurge, but he's in a completely fine situation. Jellybean's just teeing off on Sam right now with that True Shot Aura. That's a full blind onto Gorecki. Trinkets out. Pain Suppression has been used as well. Method Black trying to turn around the pressure over onto Absurge once again. He looks to be the target of choice for Method.
Yeah, on the flip side though, the move have a few options. They force that Pain Suppression, Rapture, and Trinket on Gorecki. Maybe they could swap over to him. Snuts also had to trade out a fair few cooldowns, but looks like Sam is the target of choice. Can they get the kidney shot into the full trap over on Gorecki? Temporal Shield coming out of Sam. He is playing Arcane, meaning he only has that one ice block. Looks like he's going to be able to kite away with that Temporal and survive for now.
Yeah, he should be fine now that Gorecki is out of crowd control. Archangel has been used. Peekaboo actually trinketing out of it, a swap there, so nicely done by Method Black, keeping the move on their toes. Absurge still in a good spot, line of sighting, mind control over onto Jellybeans. He's not going to be much help to his team, but this is the big swap with Smoke Bomb over onto Snuts. He doesn't have that trinket. Actually, he does. He still has that human racial, so not going to be doing too much. Both teams are going to be playing Alliance in this situation. That's a full kidney shot onto Gorecki, fear onto Sam as well. Now another kidney shot onto Absurge. Sam taking a bit of damage. Full trap over onto Gorecki. Sam needs to survive. You can see here he's just line of sighting very far away from Gorecki, trying to reconnect. But this could be the first ice block. Is Absurge going to be able to get that Mass Dispel? It doesn't look like it. Actually, Sam interrupting a penance and then going into that ice block. So well done. But the CC isn't over. Temporal Shield's used. The move strikes back, coming back into this series.
And that's what I wanted to see out of the move. Bring in Peekaboo on that rogue. There was so much interaction.
Turning their attention over onto Jellybeans, making sure they're getting lots of crowd control on Absurge, potentially out aggressing their opponents is probably going to be a better strategy moving into game number 4.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching the Peekaboo versus Snuts, rogue versus rogue. It reminded me of watching the Super Bowl, those quarterbacks, just always the graphics going against each other. And once again, you can see Snuts actually gets the better of Peekaboo this time, getting that sap whilst both of them are in stealth. How is he going to open with this? Once again, over onto Absurge with the Garrote, not opting to really punish Peekaboo at all.
Yeah, that's a very interesting opener. Garrote over onto Absurge. Kidney shot on Gorecki. It looks like Snuts is trying to eat that trap. Method Black really not accomplishing anything with that sap. Cloak of Shadows and Trinket going to be used by Snuts, as well as that evasion. So right now the move is getting the better end of this exchange.
Yeah, they really are. We see Snuts now swapping it over, trying to get a bit of damage onto Jelly Beans. We'd like to see some crowd control from him. Greki identifies that. He actually tried to premonition the blind potentially there, but wasn't able to get it quite. We see kick over onto him as Peekaboo trying to swap some damage, but he's getting swapped too. No PvP trinket on him. Blind onto Absturge, trinket, pain suppression, trying to keep his rogue alive. Cloak of Shadows in the nick of time. Peekaboo survives.
Yeah, but Snuts now into a cheap shot. Doesn't have that trinket up for a little bit longer. Greki doing everything he can. Barrier has been dropped. That's a smoke bomb coming from Peekaboo. Snuts just spamming out that feint, trying to run away, trying to avoid some damage. Full blind over onto Gorecki. He trinkets out of that. Kidney shot onto Salmayan. Peekaboo is all over the place, schooling Method Black right now. Snuts trying to find his footing, trying to get some pressure out. Salmayan getting a little bit low as well. Gorecki finally has a moment to try to stabilize his team, but the move is looking so good in the spot.
Yep, Snuts and Peekaboo are the backbone of these teams. Often the shot callers, these guys are the ones you want to shut down, and you can see these rogues going at each other's throats. Snuts now getting stunned up, in a bit of trouble. Does have that PvP trinket available though. Pain suppression also available on Gorecki as he's dropping lower and lower. He doesn't have many answers. No evasion, no Cloak of Shadows. As the triple fair comes out, he could be in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, he gets down to 30% HP. Wyvern over on a Gorecki. Snuts feint over and over and over. Crimson Vow maybe keeping him alive. Pain suppression was used. No, pain suppression actually not used. Power Word Shield's enough to keep Snuts alive. So Gorecki being a little bit greedy there, but ultimately maybe keeping Snuts alive now. A nice swap over onto Peekaboo. In the meantime, evasion has been used. He should be able to survive. Salmayan pumping out a lot of damage with that arcane missiles. Snuts not able to connect, but the polymorph onto Absurge. Peekaboo runs out of time, eventually falls. Well done by Method Black, turning around a disastrous situation.
Peekaboo seemed like a man on a mission, but that mission was not fruitful in Game 4. Method Black win this one. They will advance to tomorrow's tomorrow's top 4. And Zico, we were talking just before this series, how important.
And he's going to be on the Paladin, which he loves so much. What do you think of these comps, Adrian?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, Jamili would actually be a perfect fit for Method Orange. He plays the Elemental, he plays the Moonkin, plays the Mage, so many different classes at his disposal. And this is a really interesting set of compositions. Rubcub is a main Holy Paladin. We know and love him for that class. It's actually quite good into the Cleavey compositions coming out of Method Orange, so he's going to be choosing his comfort pick. We know Jamili on the Elemental as well is going to be able to kite quite well, and Roasties as a rogue, also very tanky. So I like this from the rejects. I'd give them the upper hand.
Yeah, I think I would as well, but you can't count out Mez when he is on that DK. I mean, when you pop Pillar of Frost as a DK, you say, I'm Mez right now. That's because the amount of damage that he can do at any time. And we can see Rubcub does get caught into the leg sweep, but the reject's able to turn it around, slow down Mez for a little bit while he's inside of his main offensive cooldown. Chuck now stuck inside for a little bit in that kidney, and you can see a little bit of pressure comes out, but it's not going to pull any cooldowns from Sea-Doo just yet. Mez still being relatively aggressive here. He's backed up by Trill, his teammate from last year. The synergy between these guys cannot be understated, but it's Trill to take a lot of damage here when Sea-Doo gets caught into this blind.
Yeah, I think one of the things we're really watching for on the rejects is whether Rubcub's playing well when he's gripped in by Mez. On the flip side, offensively, they're going to have quite an easy time. They have a lot of crowd control for Sea-Doo. They can do swaps over to Trill. Of course, they can use Blessing of Protection on that Touch of Karma, negating entirely that defensive cooldown, and they just have so much damage. Elementals have a lot of burst. You can see Stormkeeper right now ripping into Mez, forcing that anti-magic shell. But the win condition for Method Orange is getting grips onto Rubcub, trying to get these triple stuns, as you see now, and force cooldowns that way.
Yeah, I think the big thing is majority of this matchup, we've also seen Trill is just having a rough time. He is getting bloodied up really bad by the rejects, but Rubcub struggling to this pressure here. Sea-Doo pops his Astral Shift as well to keep himself healthy. Rubcub may have to use something here because Mez and Trills are unrelenting.
Yeah, they get the Divine Shield. That's a huge cooldown out because he had to use the healing cooldowns earlier in the game. We see on the flip side the Vendetta from Roasties, but Sea-Doo did such an expert job just trading out his Astral Shift, able to completely negate that, and now we see once again the triple blind coming out of Mez. He's generating so much pressure solo.
Mez is a freak. He really just is. He's so phenomenal. Oh, this looks insane for Trill, setting up on Rubcub after they get that major defensive cooldown, trying to close the game out here, and Method Orange, it doesn't even matter what their composition is. At any time, they can be taken to Trillville, especially when you have Mez helping you out, dealing insane damage.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how Rubcub has all these cooldowns, but you can't use them with Method Orange.
You know, when you think about Windwalkers competing with each other, Trill and Seth Curry are two of the Windwalkers that I want to see go to head-to-head the most. I think Chun-Li's one of the other ones. The field of play is so intense, that team doesn't even make it into the top 8. So now Trill, Seth Curry are going to be the two left standing, and now they're going head-to-head. Method does lead by 1, but the rejects already off to a relatively fast start. Look at how much damage they're getting onto Mez, and this is while he's in his major offensive cooldown. So rejects putting Method on a back foot right out of the gates by fighting their pressure with pressure. Now Mez stuck into the paralyze. He finally gets out of that one. Rubcub, though, takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, he had to use his Divine Shield. He's actually changed a lot of things this game, Rubcub. He uses the Divine Shield first rather than the Avenging Wrath, and actually you'll see he's swapped over to those melee wings. So he has completely changed his talents, completely changed his strategy for surviving, and he'll be hoping that Seth Curry with those peels can help him with those melee wings to actually out-damage the heals.
Still, though, relentless. That's the thing to know, and that was one of the biggest cries Zico had as an analyst, saying, I want to see Rubcub switch there. The main switch he has, though, is going to be those melee wings. He's in them right now, but he's not having high uptime. He's actually just moving away from the fray. Trill trying to get damage out. His target going to be Seth Curry, backed up by Mez. They are just all over Seth. He hasn't used anything to get out yet, and you can see he is just slowed from Mez. Mez takes a little bit of damage here, and you can see Trill taking some as well, but Chuck is in a great spot in this matchup. Hasn't had to invest too much yet. He doesn't look very scared. This is very different than what we saw in the previous series. He's going to be caught up into a Hex for now, but Mez with beautiful CC once again.
Yeah, Mez has been really disruptive. He's spamming out those chains of ice, just slowing down Jamili and Seth Curry, which means that Trill's unable to have this one-on-one versus Rubcub, which he's been doing fantastically in. You can see he gets the kick now over onto Rubcub, who does not have that Divine Shield. Let's not forget, he needs to get out of line of sight of Sea-Doo if he's going to use the Blessing of Protection, otherwise it will just be purged immediately. Now gets the melee wings out, able to provide some healing here. Will it be enough? That's down to Seth Curry and his peels.
So that 1v1 happens. Trill uses Touch of Death and just looks like he's going to take Rubcub down. Do note right now on your screen, Sea-Doo is under an onslaught of pressure. He does put out his Astral Shift. It uses Ascendance as well. He needs this Ascendance to top up his entire team. He is going to get paralyzed. One of the big things that we saw from Rubcub is his melee wings were able to keep him alive. He's not going to have them for a while now. A leg sweep does come out, and you can see that Trill is trying to get aggressive here alongside Mez onto Rubcub once again. Sea-Doo needs a little bit of comfort, but it looks like Rubcub could go down.
Yeah, beautiful fake, though, coming out of Rubcub. Fakes the Mind Freeze from Mez, able to cast out those Holy Lights, but then Sea-Doo comes in with a clutch wind share, getting a lot of pressure now. There's the hand of protection is still available for Rubcub, but well, like I say, look at Sea-Doo pushing in. He wants to get the purge on that as soon as it comes. Horse away with the freedom. Rubcub able to kite, and once again, Seth Curry, another double fist of fury. You can see why he was brought out on the Windwalker. He's saved Rubcub so many times.
Chuck's trying to get a little bit aggressive here too, but he does have to keep his team up. There is still a lot of pressure coming out from the rejects. You can see Trill gonna use those. Right now, he's actually gonna get that stun out, but Mez is looking so dangerously low at the moment. Chuck caught inside the paralyzed. That's not too much to heal Mez up at the moment. He is gonna start trading out defensive cooldown after defensive cooldown. We're gonna see a little bit of an overlap, but very called for Mez. I don't think there's any other way to get out of that while Sea-Doo's caught inside of that CC. Now a little bit of the breather for Method Orange as they can push in once again. Chuck, though, gets stunned.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams are so closely matched right now. Both the mana bars on the healers very low, but you're really scared for Rubcub. He doesn't have the Divine Shield, does not have that melee wings as well, and Mez is popping the Pillar of Frost. This is so much damage from that Death Knight. They see, look, once again, Seth Curry, beautiful double leg sweep, saving his teammate, and Trill does not have Touch of Karma. Hex over onto Sea-Doo, could be trouble, trades out that wall, but still in trouble, has to run away.
Seth Curry and Jamili there with those CCs at such a perfect moment. Just save the rejects' lives for now. They try to turn it around on Trill and convert that momentum into a win. They don't have enough to do it just yet, but they get decent pressure out onto Mez when they can't stick to Trill. Beautifully played, but Mez just like that once again tries to get a setup going, but it is stopped in its tracks. Jamili, though, now is going to be inside of the Hex.
Yeah, I mean, Jamili and Sea-Doo have been trading blows. We haven't been talking about them so much because so much is happening on Rubcub's frame, but they've been trading hexes back and forth. This battle between these two shamans has been non-stop throughout the game. Yeah. Now you can see Sea-Doo dropping lower on mana. Trill caught up in the stun on his trinket, able to get out that karma. Good dispel from Sea-Doo. That's over onto Rubcub, who's in a bit of trouble. He's trying to kite away. You can see him behind the pillar right now, just constantly avoiding Sea-Doo, constantly avoiding that aggression, and his team looks like they will win this long game.
It is a really important thing to note that both Jamili and Sea-Doo are kind of the two players on the outside, getting in those clutch hexes at big moments, really supporting their team a lot. The rest of it kind of looks like a mosh pit between both of these teams. It's like a middle school soccer match where you see them just running back and forth against the ball, but the stakes are high here. You're not chasing a ball, you're trying to chase a kill. Trill going to be very low, but Mez at a perfect second peels for him just a little bit. Seth Curry is going to be the target for Method Orange still at this moment. Rubcub stuck in the paralyzed by Trill, and now it looks like they're going to swap on over to Rubcub. He doesn't have much to work with. Now he's caught in the leg sweep as well. Fist of Fury going to come out at the perfect moment, and the Bell of Silence. Rubcub, though, in the nick of time, going to be able to pop his melee wings and maybe save his life.
Yeah, once again, Seth Curry barely gets out the stun, gets that double Fist of Fury. Jamili able to come in with a knock as well, and Rubcub's melee wings barely keep him alive. But look, there's no bop. The bubble comes up just about now, actually, so Rubcub does have that answer. Now he's going to all in on Sea-Doo. There's the Astral Shift. Spirit Link still available. He should be able to trade that out if it's needed. He tries holding onto it, using the Ascendance and everything like that. So Rubcub does have his Divine Shield. There is Touch of Death used by Trill that should be able to force it out, but again, a beautiful knock coming out of Jamili. He's doing such a good job in this game.
Well played by Sea-Doo there too, and he will still have his Link, and there are plenty of moments where you can see Mez and Trill just get right back to him, so that Link will be very lucrative when he does have to pop it. 7% dampening, and now Mez trying to go big. Rubcub finally does get his cooldowns back, so he's able to get back inside of that bubble and chill, and that means that Mez and Trill are going to try to switch their targets on to Seth Curry, but Trill starts to get really low here, and Sea-Doo gets caught in the leg sweep. Now you can see Trill using that pillar, trying to get back an LOS of Chuck. Chuck just tossing out a few healing waves, doesn't want to invest the Link yet, and he's able to get Trill healthy for now, but it is both of the monks that are taking a lot of damage, but Chuck now very scared at this moment. No one to help him out either if he was to drop the Link. Caught inside the paralyzed for just a little bit, but he can't get away from Seth Curry.
Yeah, I think he can't get away from Seth Curry, but Rubcub has nothing left. There's no Divine Shield, no Hand of Protection. Those melee wings are about to expire. He uses the horse, tries to kite away, but this is desperate times, desperate measures. There's the full stun onto Rubcub. Surely he will fall here. There's the DR stun coming out of Trill. No peels from Seth Curry just yet. In the nick of time, he gets those stuns once again, defending his Holy Paladin, but there's no incoming healing. There's no mana. There's 2 interrupts to fake. Here's the Blessing Silence. He is going to fall, and that will be 2-0 Method Orange.
I have to say, though, that Seth Curry had incredible peels even in that last go. He struggled somewhat against Rogue Mage. Now they're going to have to play a bunch of Rogue Mages. They're going to have to do it in the lower bracket maybe more than once if they want to get to the Grand Finals. But the Rejects don't bring it. They got Jamili, and he's on a Shaman next to a Windwalker. That's my big question here, but the Rejects need to make this comp work. They've already locked it in. We're on Tolvaron Arena, and if they cannot pick up a win here, they are done. They have the big map to work with. Seth Curry, incredibly mobile. Jamili going to be on a class that we know loves to run away, but Mez and Trill are going to try to keep the pressure alive the entire time, but the Rejects with a beautiful start. Even in the CC, while Rubcub is in that CC, Mez is going to be the one who gets chunked. He is inside of an offensive cooldown. He wants to get aggressive here, and he's going to hit the first one that he finds, and that is Seth Curry. Now Mez going to use that Wraith Walk. That's going to allow him to sit right onto Rubcub, who is using those melee wings once again. If they can find a cooldown early like they did last time, it could spell a series win for them here in the lower bracket. Remember, the Rejects go home if they can't win here. They do pull the Astral Shift from Sea-Doo.
Yeah, they do. Rubcub and, of course, Jamili are running very similar talents. They did a good job of surviving. The question is, how can they do offensively in this game? Sea-Doo did such a phenomenal job keeping Method Orange alive. You can see Seth Curry with those Ride the Winds trying to help Rubcub kite away when he doesn't have the melee wings. I really like that talent choice coming out of Seth Curry. It's helping Rubcub to get away from Sea-Doo. And you can see Jamili's actually changed up his strategy a little bit this game. He's putting a lot more damage over onto Sea-Doo, making sure he cannot chase Rubcub, cannot get those aggressive purges, and it also puts them further behind when it comes to healing Mez and Trill when they follow. So you can see Method Orange, they've actually adapted a little bit as well. They're swapping over to Seth Curry, getting out a bit more damage, make it easier for Sea-Doo.
I think that is a really big thing in Sea-Doo, though. It's making it a little bit easier for him. He's also been playing out of his mind. I think one of the big things I'm suspicious of right now, there may be someone in chat giving them his energy. I am very suspicious of that. Seth Curry, though, starting to take a lot of damage here. And you can see Trill, he wants to be on top of Rubcub. Again, they haven't pulled those major defensive cooldowns as of yet. Now it is going to be Sea-Doo who's on the chopping block here. You can see it's just Seth Curry and him all day long, toe-to-toe, mano-a-mano. Sea-Doo going to be able to heal himself up there. He has to use the Ascendance to do it, though. Good thing for Chuck, that Astral Shift is coming back very shortly, but Rubcub just gets blasted to smithereens. He's able to trade out 2 cooldowns here. He's inside the bubble. Now he uses his melee wings, but those melee wings are creating pressure onto Trill as well as saving his life.
Yeah, I mean, that's the risk you run. When Seth Curry goes after Sea-Doo, they get a lot of offensive pressure, force a lot of cooldowns, but they leave Rubcub exposed, and that's why the Divine Shield was forced there. Mez and Trill almost have that Touch of Death, almost have the Pillar of Frost, and Rubcub without the melee wings and Divine Shield will be in a bit of trouble. He does have the Hand of Protection still, so we'll be able to trade that one out as well since he's playing a away from Sea-Doo. It shouldn't be purged, which is obviously very good for him. But on the flip side, Sea-Doo, he's got a lot of his defensive cooldowns still. He's sitting healthy on mana. Is the strategy working for Rejects? Not really.
I think the thing that we are seeing from Method Orange too, and this is going to be a thing that I think we'll see throughout the entire season, that is just very much how their team operates. They have an incredible amount of trust in each other. They can leave Sea-Doo on his own without peels, without anything like that. Mez and Trill can get incredibly far away and look to create pressure, and they just trust that they're going to live. And you can see Mez right here in one of those situations, now finally starting to move back to Sea-Doo, but a heads-up play by Jamili going to separate them for just a second, and Mez needs to use his Wraith Walk to get back on home to Dad.
Yeah, I really like that Jamili's always using his Thunderstorm to knock Sea-Doo out of his own totem, which is reducing the damage, so that's being played very well. We also see, again, beautiful stuns. These guys on Rejects, they are playing individually very, very well, but as a team, it's very hard for them to find this perfect strategy. You see Seth Curry, once again, he's onto Sea-Doo, but now Mez and Trill, they're going to be pushing over to Rubcup. As soon as that melee wings expires, there's no hand of protection, there's no real answers, but Sea-Doo dropping low does have the anti-magic shell, or anti-magic zone traded out from Mez, so well played by him. Spirit Link still available too.
He has AMZ. You saw the Earth Shield go up on himself at that moment, and Trill was like, okay, we want to make sure. I'm going to roll over. I'm going to get the peel. Now Sea-Doo inside of the Hex as well. But I think that may be one of the things. I feel like Method Orange is playing like a well-oiled machine as a team. The big question is whether or not a fourth is going to be the problem for them in this series and future series. The question for Rejects is when are they going to click all the way as a team, because they definitely have every single piece that they need to make it work. But once again, they're in a dire situation in this series, let alone the tournament. Seth Curry, once again, is going to be very close to Sea-Doo, but he moves on over to Mez, tries to get the pressure here, and now we're going to see them lumped up much more than we have in the past.
That was a really scary time for Rubcup. He didn't actually have any defensive cooldowns, but Seth Curry, once again, he in-capped Trill when Trill was trying to set up the stun. Then he stunned Trill on his own stun. It was beautiful. He really knows how to play against his Windwalker opposition at this game, but at the same time, Rubcup's dropping lower and lower on mana. The melee wings are up again. Divine Shield, there will be a gap, an opening, perhaps for Method Orange if they can get that connection, but once again, Ride the Wind, combined with that horse, Rubcup escapes.
You know, also, it's important that you bring up, once again, the head-on-head matchup really is Trill and Seth Curry. It's like a chess game between the two of them. They're always peeling for their teammates. They're able to get across the map so quickly. It's almost like they're the casters in this matchup. When you put two Windwalkers on Tolvaron, the amount of mobility they have, they just look phenomenal on this map. But all of a sudden, Rubcup is in danger. Mez is going big at the moment, and Rubcup's all the way now literally in the corner.
Yeah, he is. He does have that Divine Shield shortly, but it doesn't look like he's necessarily going to survive the stun at the last second. He's able to Oh my god, he faked the interrupt coming out of Mez there, so he was able to heal and survive till his melee wings. What a play coming out of Rubcup. That could have easily been the elimination of the Rejects. Now they have that lease on life. They have the Divine Shield. That is going to be the ultimate answer. Of course, the immunity for the Holy Paladin. And Sea-Doo still has a lot of cooldowns, but he doesn't have too much mana. I'm looking to see Jamili try and get damage over onto him, but it's so hard with these big pillars. Here we see the stun onto Rubcup, forces that Divine Shield.
You go back to that fake once again. That was almost the best cooldown that you could possibly have in the game. The skill cap on Rubcup when he is on this Paladin is through the roof. But now in forbearance, gonna look a little bit scary for Rubcup again, but he bought himself basically 2 goes. Sea-Doo is starting to lose that mana. That's important. The steam starting to run out for these guys. Inside of the Ascendants right now, we're going to see Trill and Mez very healthy. Need to note, though, 9% dampening. That lack of mana that Sea-Doo has could be a big problem. And you can see Trill right now starts to get low. Seth Curry starts to get low. Mez trades out that anti-magic zone, and it does a lot for Trill, but Seth Curry needs to get away from the action.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit dangerous to be Trill. He's behind the pillar without Touch of Karma right now. Can they get an opening over onto him? Double stun, denies it. Sea-Doo pushing in as well. Does have that Spirit Link totem to keep him alive, but Seth dropping lower and lower does end up being the one who falls. He used his Touch of Karma in a kind of safe situation, but it was just beautiful stuns in the end, and that series was pretty one-sided.
On the Protection Paladin and Calder on that Kitty. I'm excited to get this one started. Winner of this series moves on in the tournament. Loser goes home. Lower bracket stakes always very high. Peekaboo right now going to look for a good setup here, and he's going to get that sap onto Colo. Moves on over to Bean, and he's going to start to get the pressure.
Yep, so he's playing the assassination spec, and I really like that because that additional burst coming out of Vendetta, a lot of that magical damage is going to help them burst through these defensives coming out of the Protection Paladin. Now, the Protection Paladin, obviously it offers some offense. You can play the Inquisition talent, which means that when you taunt someone and you have your whole team attacking the same guy, you're dealing 15% more damage to it, and that's something to a immobile target like WizK could definitely be a bit scary.
You know, WizK, though, already getting a lot of pressure onto him. He's going to have to use a big cooldown here to start things off, and he's also being controlled very well, so he's having a very difficult time getting any VTs out, which is going to make him much tankier, and you can see that pressure right out of the gates because now he's popped Dispersion as well. The move just having to deal with a huge amount of pressure of Bubble Block, and that's the thing that we've already noted, is that Bean is going to allow Calder inside of his incarnation to really just go to the moon with his damage. Absturge is going to have to use Ascendance here as well, so Bubble Block already starting to pull a lot of the defensive options straight away from the move the second that these gates open in the blind pick.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do like the fact that Absurge is trading out those cooldowns rather than trading out a huge amount of mana, because he knows this is probably going to be quite a long game. It was the Incarnation and the Avenging Wrath from Bubble Block. That's the big offensive cooldowns to watch out for in this matchup. So he trades out those defensives, the Ascendants in particular, to be a little bit more efficient with his healing. He's not in too much trouble when it comes to dying. He's not too afraid of that. But Bubble Block have the right strategy. They're sitting on WizK, like you said, Rich, just denying as much damage as possible with those interrupts and just making it easy for Colo to stay ahead.
It's very rare that he gets a VT out, too. We've been jumping on board with him for quite a few seconds here. I think he managed to get one, maybe two out. And you can see WizK, like, once again, there's the kick. As many VTs as they can deny, the better. But the move has some offensive pressure here if they decide to use it, both in WizK and in Peekaboo. Peekaboo going to have that Vendetta when he decides to actually use it. Right now, Colo is going to be caught inside of the kidney, and you can see here is that offensive push coming out from the move. Pain suppression going to be used by Colo onto himself. Bean going to try to get some support going here as well for his team.
Yeah, I really like that from WizK. He saw that the swap opportunity did come up over onto Colo because the DPS and the tank, honestly, on Bubble Block moved over to Absurge. So he was able to precast a bit of damage there, get his artifact rolling, get the pain suppression out, and now they have the Trinket from Colo as well with that blind. So they do have an opportunity there, but actually they're swapping it over onto Caldereg. They force the Trinket survival instincts there as well. So the move definitely making moves, but will it be enough to kill through Bean's defensive cooldown?
I mean, that's the big thing that we really notice as well, is the move suddenly has started to get rolling. They really are getting their first good pushes of the game in now, and that could add up. You see Colo right now inside of the kidney, and he doesn't have much to work with. He already used the Rapture previously to being in the kidney, but he gets melted all the way below half. Now he should have a second to breathe, heal himself back up to full. WizK going to be bashed on up. And now he's finally getting out those VTs, so he's going to become much tankier at this moment. Peekaboo gets stuck, though, into that bash for a second there. Bubble Block can be patient. We already saw how well they really do play inside of dampening.
Yeah, I mean, they should be patient. That is their main win condition. Just look at the mana bars on the healers. Absurge down to about 30%, whereas Colo has been healing very efficiently. He's had the freedom to do some damage, but now there's no trinkets on either of these guys, but just in time we see that light of the Protector coming out from Bean. It's basically like a Blessing of Protection, but for magic damage, so Caldereg should be able to survive. That was a clutch cooldown coming out from him, because Colo didn't have Trinket for the Silence, and Caldereg didn't have Trinket for the Kidney.
But that telegraphs that it's the Bubble Block's turn to get aggressive, and you see Calder actually using his Incarnation, but here they're not going to get nearly as much as they've gotten in the past, so this really puts them inside of that lane. They're on the fast track to dampening at this point if they want to win. They really do need to focus on that win condition, because they're not going to have that crazy explosion that we've seen out of them in the past. Calder now outside of his scary beast mode, and Peekaboo, though, still does need to put out his cloak to get away nice and healthy, but he's going to be able to stick onto Bean for just a little bit. Absturge does get caught in a stun of his very own, but he has a lot to work with as far as cooldowns are concerned, but now it's starting to get scary for mana. If he can get away for a drink, that's when I will start to believe that the move can have a win besides getting a quick go here.
Yeah, but I mean, look at WizK. Even though he's being shut down so much, he is dealing so much damage. There's the kidney shot over on the blind, trinketed out by Colo. Caldereg low. Bean does not have that Blessing of Spell Warding to keep his Feral alive this time, so the second Survival Instincts will come out instead. There's the Ardent Defender as well, the Shield Wall for the Protection Paladin. Lots of cooldowns coming out. Also the increased healing from Colo, both of his big healing cooldowns, but they're also dropping lower on mana, and Absurge is having a lot of freedom now. I wouldn't be surprised if he does go for a drink soon.
The question is is how many goes do the move have left? And it's looking like they may have quite a few. Absterge did get away for just a little bit. He may be able to even pick up a drink here now. You can see Calder trying to get over. Absterge going to be back up. Doesn't get to take too much of a break there. Now he needs to heal up his team as well. Bean going to be silenced for a little bit. You can already see the pressure that the move has been able to get out in 3% dampening. Now receiving quite a bit of pressure, but might be able to turn it around. PS off of cooldown, but Colo cut into the kidney. This is looking very scary for both sides, though. Neither side looking too safe. Bean going to have some defensive cooldowns here as well. And Colo does have that PS. Mana now starting to equalize on both sides. WizK getting controlled a little bit here, but we know the second that he's out of the grips of the other team, he will be able to do so much damage. He silences Colo here as well. Now Bean and Calder both getting cleaved.
Yeah, I mean, I really think this game's looking better and better for the move. They have all their defensive cooldowns. The only question is whether they can get the kill before Absterge runs out of mana, but it's looking really promising. Peekaboo once again with the kidney shot over onto Colo. Vendetta's up in about 20 seconds. We see WizK coming out of that silence. He will have his Void Form available soon as well. There's no defensive cooldowns on Calder. He doesn't have survival instincts as the full fare goes onto Colo. It's up to Bean to save the day, but he doesn't have much left either.
He really doesn't, and the second that WizK gets a little bit of wiggle room, you just see everyone from Bubble Block rotting down. 9% dampening and dots for everybody. WizK gonna get stunned here, but a lot of his damage has already been done. Peekaboo gonna pop into that Vendetta, trying to finish the job that WizK started here. Bean gonna try to keep himself alive. Calder finally getting survival instincts left. Colo still does have that PS, but with 11% dampening, this blind could spell defeat. Calder inside the kidney, looking to close this one out is the move, and they're gonna be able to do it without a problem. Bean probably gonna fall before we even get out of this one. Beautiful play from the move, because they were struggling at the beginning, Adrian, and like you said, keep looking at that mana.
Your poison spread around that wound poison, which is really going to help out with the spread pressure if they weren't running that in game one. So Peekaboo might have swapped that over for a bit more spread pressure, but I agree, Rich. I think one of the big things in this game I'd like to see is Absterge pushing for a few more drinks, really baiting Calder out of position so they can get these swaps between the players.
And also, if we are seeing Peekaboo run that talent, if they get clumped up at any moment, that's where Peekaboo will really excel. So that's interesting to see. Absterge is taking quite a bit of pressure here, but the real story is Peekaboo being inside of that Vendetta to start things off. Doesn't look like Colo and Bean have too much to worry about yet. It really is Absterge at this moment. He's going to use his wall at this point, but then right after that wall goes off, he's hit with a stun, then into a fear. The fear doesn't do too much extra based on the duration of that stun, but now the healing waves around this pillar, and Absterge is good to go for now. Calder and Bean getting rotted down out of the gates, though, trying to stick to Absterge. That's their target. But wow, this pressure is absolutely insane, but we know this is when Calder can really light up the damage meter.
Yeah, I think so. I really like this actually coming out of Bubble Block. I think it's a good adaptation as we see Absterge forced to use the Void Shift there from WizK, the life swap basically between the two players. It's very much better because, I mean, whilst they do take a bit more spread pressure, with that protection pattern, they should be able to survive that. And you can see how easily they can take down Absterge. He doesn't have dispersion since he isn't the Shadow Priest, so it's one less cooldown to go through. And it seems like they're actually generating a lot more offensive pressure in this game.
Yeah, the move kind of figured out how to play against. We talked about the bubble block. The thing that they did really well in the last matchup was they put another team in scenarios where they didn't know what to do against them. They switched up their compositions. They were all wacky and they were difficult to wrap your head around. Now Bubble Block has brought this composition twice and the move has adapted inside of the first match, and they're carrying everything they learned over here, and that's why the move is looking like a strong team. Already the pressure is so palpable on Bubble Block.
Yep, and we saw a lot of cooldowns coming down from Absterge and WizK defensively, but you obviously see on the flip side of this offensive strategy, so many defensive, so much rot pressure coming out of the move. The question now, can Absterge survive? There's no incarnation for Caldereg, which is the big offensive cooldown, but that was the Avenging Wrath. They have a lot of pressure. There's the Astral Shift to answer, but there's nothing really left for Absterge. So for Bubble Block to win this game, they're going to have to kill Absterge without any offensive cooldowns, because otherwise Spirit Link will come up, Astral Shift will come back up, and at the same time they're rotting so low. WizK really punishing them for tunneling his healer.
This is about almost everything that they have left. Bean may be able to hit Calder here with his ability, but for the most part, Calder seems to be in a very scary place. Absterge gets silenced there, but Peekaboo and WizK don't care. The only thing they care about is finding that kill onto Calder. Fear gonna come out. Nice peel overall. WizK inside is now able to get a lot of pressure out after that. And you can see the damage is so crazy from Peekaboo as well. Bean needs to keep Calder safe, but will he be able to keep himself safe now?
Yeah, the Blessing of Spell Warding comes out just in time, but Peekaboo, of course, can go through that. It's only magical damage as it does now expire. Both of them are so low. Colo, without any defensive cooldowns, desperately dispelling. Vampiric Touch is doing what he can, but here comes the Vendetta. We're in Void form. We are looking at the win here for the move. If they can just get a bit more damage over onto Bean. Mind Control, low health behind the pillar, making him line of sight Colo. I really like that play, but somehow, someway, this Protection Paladin's alive. Is he?
Ah, so close. Ultimately, he's able to keep himself up a little bit longer, and he lives past those offensive cooldowns. A fear onto Colo means that the move can still get aggressive. WizK is getting dealt with pretty handily by Bubble Block, but Bubble Block still rotted down at the moment. Now, once again, the move looks like they're getting pretty aggressive at this moment. You can see Kaldurk still is going to be that target as well. There really isn't much to keep Kaldurk safe at this moment.
Yeah, one of the things to note about Protection Paladins, and one of the reasons they are so annoying to play against sometimes, is Light of the Protector. It's their heal that they can do every 10 seconds with their Holy Power, and it heals for 30% of your remaining, like your missing health. So if you're missing 90% of your health, that's a big heal every 10 seconds. That's why Bean's able to keep his team alive, and that's why they're still in this game. Now they're getting some split pressure over onto Absturge. They feel more confident having stabilized a bit to go back onto that Shaman, but it seems like the only way they can win is by actually killing Absturge or ooming them. They can't really kill WizK, so as the more WizK is able to do damage and force them back onto him, the harder it is for Bubble Block to actually finish this one.
Two things to note about that. Just like you said, Bubble Block needed to find a big play outside of their cooldowns if they wanted to find a kill, and you could see that Incarn comes back and Absturge has things to deal with it. Ultimately, he's going to be able to use his Ascendance there. That takes it out of the equation, but also the move gets very solid offensive pressure out, so that puts Kaldurk inside of his bear form while he is in that major offensive cooldown. So that stops another go from Bubble Block, and now it's the move's turn to go in for the kill. Vendetta popped once again, being the target, caught into the garrote. WizK is bashed. That's going to stop quite a bit of the pressure, but the second he gets out, expect him to go crazy. A fear onto Colo, but Rapture is traded out. Will it be enough to keep Bean up is the question. A nice silence comes out as well. They just keep trying to deal with WizK to slow down the pressure, and ultimately Vendetta is over, and once more, Bubble Block has weathered the storm.
Yeah, they seem to have for now at least. There is still some spread pressure, but they're doing fine. Pain suppression comes out, and now we can really talk about that second win condition, the mana. Absturge down to about 10% of it. That tiny little blue bar means he won't be able to do much more healing. He won't be able to sustain WizK for much longer, as we see the swap from Bean getting the silence out, doing some damage. Colo in the silence as well. There, as we see the swap, there's the Trinket Survival Instincts. No cooldowns left for Bubble Block. The next setup will be the kill. There's no Trinket on Colo, no Trinket on Kaldurk, and no Blessing of Spell Warding on Bean.
I will say, though, Absturge is like the popular kid at the dance right now. Everyone wants to tangle with him, and all he wants to do is sit down for a drink, but the spread pressure is definitely noticeable from the move. Whether or not they have a cooldown, but they do have a cooldown now for WizK. He's doing his biggest damage, and we said that he was going to be someone who can light people up inside of dampening. Absturge, though, not out of it yet. We see that massive silence go down, trades out that Spirit Link, a heads-up play here. Bean has a little bit to work with to keep himself alive, but Vendetta comes off a cooldown just in the nick of time. Peekaboo going to stay aggressive here as well by jumping into that Cloak of Shadows. Everything is being invested into this go by the move in 9% dampening. Kaldurk manages to stay alive, but Colo cannot. The move able to get their second win in a row.
It looked like he actually got the Blessing down, but the mind control from WizK might have actually denied that, so he took a move.
I 100% agree. We already saw it be WizK in so many of these matchups. Now it is time for Peekaboo to shine. The move, though, does have a resounding lead, trying to make this a hot 3-0 to close out the entire day, but this is exactly what we expected. Everybody jumping straight onto WizK. He is that clothy, that squishy target. Now Bean going to switch on over to Absturge. He hits him up with a stun for a little bit, and now he's inside of that demon form, so it looks like he's running Demonic, because I'm assuming that was off of the I-beam, because he hasn't popped that major cooldown yet. So it looks like we are going to see Bean with Demonic inside of this one. So Peekaboo, though, is going to try to switch things up. He goes into his Vendetta, and he's melting Colo, who's inside of the skin, but he's not being able to get healthy yet. Bean getting dangerously low, too. Pop the darkness!
Yeah, I mean, they're all dying. This is exactly what we said. If Peekaboo gets over onto Colo out of form, he can just die. He tried to hold onto his trinket. He's still in so much trouble. Purge is coming out from Abstuj. Abstuj is playing Counter-Strike Totem, of all things. All-in aggression coming out of the move. They could mid in this game very quickly.
Oh, Colo stunned up inside of bear form for a second there. Really nice fear came in from WizK. Once again, having those all-star plays. The darkness gets dropped by fear. WizK just has his finger on the trigger, clicks that button. All of a sudden, everybody's running on out of that. Colo now caught inside of the blind, and once again, major damage can come out from the move. They haven't even broken a sweat yet. Like, almost no defensive cooldowns being used. Absurge now caught inside of that in-cap. He is off pretty far, but WizK has plenty to keep himself alive and plenty to stay aggressive inside of that void form and healing himself up with all of that damage currently as well. Bean going to try to break line of sight, and that puts Caldurg in a position where he's going to take damage. He gets caught up into the kidney, which is Peekaboo's telegraph to say, hey, I want you dead. Now Caldurg trying to stay alive with everything he has left. Colo going to support him by throwing on an Iron Bark as well. Some nice peels come out from Bean, stunning up the move. Peekaboo is starting to get low. Absurge has so much to deal with, though, that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that Bubble Block really have going for them is that they have stayed alive, but that might not be for much longer. Again, Colo caught out of form. You cannot get away with being kidneyed out of form every single time, or maybe you can. Caldurg comes out with the peels once again. Double leg sweep, there's the spell. Colo somehow survives, but he doesn't have the bark skin, doesn't have the trinket, doesn't have the renewal either. One more kidney like that, and it will be game.
Colo, like you said, step kidney. He cannot ever be caught out of form, and this is something that we said about Colo last year as well when he was on the Druid. If he is caught out of form, his team could be melted. It's funny to see Caldurg. Oh my goodness, Caldurg just gets deleted. It was crazy how quick that was, because I was about to bring up last time when we saw Colo playing on that, the tables were somewhat